Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday show. My name is James Chen, and things are going to look a little different here today. In fact, so different I forgot to make a particular change, but I'll do that right now while everybody else introduces themselves.
Hey, I'm Ultra David. Welcome to the show. I'm glad to be here in person, as I always am, in James's Ultra Chen TV HQ here in California. We are now joined by TuboWare, who has flown out specifically for this show and will be doing so each week from now on. What's up?
Yeah. Well, good thing I'm extremely wealthy and rich, so I can afford to fly out every Tuesday. No big deal. Pandemic be damned, I'll be here on Ultra 10. I hope I'm looking the right way, by the way. Because we're in person.
I think you're nailing it, man. What do you mean you hope? We're looking at each other right now.
Exactly, yeah.
And
yeah,
I'm gonna be staring at Tubo. I'm gonna be staring deep into his loving eyes constantly, because that's just how it works over here. So
that's what you'd be doing anyway if when TuboWare's here. When we hang out with TuboWare, as we are right now.
We live together all the time. So.
We are indeed. We got some things to talk about today. Look, it's not a super news-heavy week. It's on the lighter end, even for quarantine times, I would say. But we have some stuff to talk about.
We're saying this a lot, David.
We are, but particularly this time. But there is some stuff to talk about for sure. But we're going to start off by talking about TuboWare and joining the show, and a little bit about his background. If you're not as familiar with this fellow over here to my left, we're going to talk about some tournament results for events that happened over the past weekend, as well as a little bit of stuff to chat about when it comes to them. We're going to talk about some 5-5 matchup questions. We're just going to do the questions that we got, because we also didn't get a ton of those. We're going to talk a little bit about some game news. There's a little bit of maybe console news to talk about. There's a little bit of other community news to talk about. But like I said, it's going to be this one to begin with up here at the top. Welcome to TuboWare.
So, real quick, David, can you scroll your camera down just slightly as we are doing this? Just get your head to the top. There you go. Perfect. Okay. Perfect.
All right,
there
cool.
we go. Nice.
I think what you meant to say is, can I raise my chair?
Right. Yeah.
I did.
Can you raise your chair a little bit? There you go.
Yeah, my chair is up a little bit now,
nice.
For sure.
Okay.
Don't ask me to raise my chair. It's going to slightly lower as the stream goes on. piece of crap I sit on.
Oh, man.
So,
since you've flown here, I can, give you a spare chair that you can bring back on the airplane with you, right?
Yeah, I'll bring it on the plane.
Yeah. So
actually, I heard on Spirit, if you fly Spirit and you bring your own chair, they give you a discount. So
that's probably true. Oh, man. All right,
man. So you are joining the program. We've had guest hosts in the past. Our friends Steve and Steve used to drive here each week. Wow, that was years ago at this point. And it was remarkable of them to do so, because if people aren't familiar with California geography, they had to drive, honestly, an hour and a half to get here. And Tasty Steve had to piggyback on Sajam, or else just take an Uber, and that was not reasonable for them to do. So they quit that. But that was a lot of fun to have other people on the show. And now that we are in quarantine times, and of course that means is that we all show up to James's place in person with infinite money, I think it's cool to have somebody else join the show yet again. Now it's a little bit more practical to do so.
Yeah. I'm pumped to be here. I feel like I made it. Finally, after all these years, I have the recognition I deserve.
Let me tell you about Let me tell you about how popular our show is here, okay? Hate to break it to you too.
Look, man. I when I stream, I get 20 to 30 viewers. There's probably 200 to 300 there right now. So that's 1,000% growth for me.
Well, I'm not sure it's 1,000% growth, but
1,000,000% growth.
It's those kind of statistics that we brought you on here to say.
Yeah, exactly. dropping the knowledge. Yeah, I'm super pumped to be here, man. I mean, I feel like now I don't have to sit in your chat and troll you guys. I can just do it in person, and it's so much easier than typing.
Yeah, so this will be the last week that TuboWare has joined us as well. No, I was kidding.
We had a good run, boys.
Yeah.
So, look, I think probably most people in the chat know who you are, but I think it'd be great if you talked a little bit about yourself, your background, how you got into streaming and commentating, how long you've been doing it. Basically, tell us your life's story.
Yeah, no, I got you. I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I was born I started playing fighting games when I was a kid, obviously, like most of us, right? So Street Fighter 4 was coming out. Started playing that. Well, I started with HDR. HDR was my first tournament game for fighting games, right? So when HDR was out, Street Fighter 4 was announced. I was like, oh, dope, I'm gonna play that game. Started playing that. I randomly met Gutex and Edma when I was working at Best Buy. They walked into my Best Buy to purchase what became the Evo monitor for Evo.
Where were you at this time?
I was in Las Vegas. I lived in Las Vegas at that time. Yeah. I worked at Best Buy. I was the loss prevention dude up front. So when Gutex walked in, I was like, "You're Gutex. I know you." And he was just pumped that someone knew him. Yeah. So we got to talking, and right, Brian. But yeah, so that's how I got my start. Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was still new. So that's how I got my start in the FTC. I competed with the Vegas guys for a while. Moved back home to the Midwest. Played in Champaign-Urbana, and that's when Marvel 3 came out. And it was about that time that I decided I wanted to commentate. So I learned everything I could about Marvel 3, and people knew me in Chicago as like the guy that talked a lot of shit. Like I was just that guy in the background heckling everyone for fun. So when streaming became a thing, people were like, "TuboWare is funny, put him on stream," and that's how I started doing commentary. That was that, and I fell in love with it and kept going. So that's the short version of how I ended up where I'm sitting right now, I guess.
Very different story than when James and I began commentating, because we were not asked to commentate because anybody thought we were funny. That was like not at all part of the conversation. It was just, hey, we think that you guys know the game pretty well, and you can probably put some sentences together. I don't think there was any expectation that we would tell a joke for at least a year, honestly.
Yeah, no, Chicago was like, "You're the funny guy? All right, you go talk on the camera so people will listen and watch the stream." Because, real talk, back then in Chicago, no one knew what they were talking about. And Ari stayed home, so there was, a bunch of scrubs just wanting to have fun.
Well, that time was that way anyway. I mean, it was that way everywhere, including in Southern California. At that time, they were really just Level Up, I Play Winner, and Team Spooky in 3 of the big different cities in the U.S. And even there, like, we weren't getting big numbers. We were small. Right. It was very homey. It was, sort of just another way to talk to your buddies. I certainly felt when we began commentating that it was much like just posting on SRK, but like it was in video form. Like I was talking to the same people. We were having the same conversations. It really wasn't until later that it felt like it was anything bigger or different. Yeah.
I mean, that's I think it's most of our origin stories is we were just doing it because it was a thing to do. And we like video games.
I just remember...
Outside of like maybe a few guys like Sajam, who came a little bit later, or now St. Cola, who's the big famous CBT commentator all of a sudden. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, for me, a lot of it was just that, the first initial commentary that started cropping up, I really just didn't like very much, or very early commentary. And so I'm one of those people that doesn't like to talk smack about something like that until I try it, because I want to see how hard it is, And so when Vi started doing the garage thing, and then Vi was like, "Wait a minute, you're good at explaining things, jump on the microphone." I was like, all right, I need to figure this out and see how hard it was. And I jumped on the mic, and it was impossible. I was like, what the hell do I talk about? And it just, you kind of got into the groove after a while, but it came from the same place that why I did write all my FAQs and stuff, is because I wanted to try to spread the knowledge and understanding of fighting games to people.
I have always been thankful.
Figured it out. Wait, what's that?
Yeah, he's never quite gotten there. I've always been thankful that when we started commentating, the standards were so low. That was a lucky stroke for us, for sure. If we began right now with like all the strong commentators out there, it would not have worked out the same way. We just happened to be in a spot where we could practice, and practice meant being on the mic, and boy, that was just a stroke of luck for sure.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, though, I also feel like we kind of established a lot of what a lot of people, for better or for worse, I should say, you know, a lot of what people try to do in commentary these days, you know. So, I mean, commentary might be a very different place if we weren't two of the first people to do it. Let's just put it that way. So.
Yeah. I mean, people are influenced by the folks who came before them, for sure.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And I couldn't think of a better two to do it.
Well. You know, you don't have to. I was gonna say you don't have to sweet talk us anymore. You're on the show now.
That's true. Yeah, I'm already here now.
Yeah, for sure. So you know, that's a little bit about your background, your history in the scene. What have you been up to lately?
As far as fighting games go, I play a lot. Well, I shouldn't say a lot. I play in Tong's Marvel tournaments on occasion. The Marvel 3 ones from Parsec. And I started streaming again, like 3 or 4 days ago?
Right.
I decided that I'm probably the only partnered Twitch streamer that's never had 100 subs. So now I have a goal to actually have 100 subs. So I've been starting the grind again, just to... Because why not? You know, I'm in quarantine and I have nothing else to do.
Yeah, I mean, a lot subs is hard, man. Subs is hard. I didn't get over 100 subs for a long time. It took a long time for that to happen. You'd be surprised how hard it is to get to that point. So.
No, I mean, I know. I mean, there's a time in 2016 where I was unemployed and I streamed every day for about a month straight. At least 5 hours every day, and I think I got like 28 to 30 something subs.
Yeah.
So I get it, man. I get it.
Yeah, it's crazy because like you say like, oh, I did this for a month, and honestly, like when you look at someone like a Sajam who's been doing it now for like 2 years and stuff. So it's that. I mean, like the Tuesday show, we've been around for what 9 years, but like we only streamed once a week for the Tuesday show, right? Yeah. So it's actually kind of It's a hard grind.
It's work, of course. It's work like anything else. So, look, we're happy to have you on here. I'm looking forward to fun conversations. It's nice to have a new person on here. It's been some years since we did consistently. You know, we've had interviews lately, maybe not lately, but this year we've done several interviews, and those are a lot of fun. It's nice to have somebody else on the show to bounce ideas off of, to bounce jokes off of. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, dope. Yeah, like I said, man, I'm super happy to be here. And I have been on the show before, right? Like you guys had me on. It's nothing too new to me, but I'm glad to be a permanent presence for the foreseeable future.
For sure, dude. All right. Well, anything else to say about this topic that you are new? What do you want to say? What are you plugging? What are you doing here?
What am I plugging? I mean,
yeah, buddy.
Everybody already watching knows me, man. I'm not plugging anything to these guys, all right?
Hey,
they
look,
already know who Turbo Oreo is.
Look, Tubo, if you're not going to do it, then I'm going to be the one plugging you, okay?
All right, James. Okay.
You can watch his streams on twitch.tv/TuboWare, so that is me plugging TuboWare, so there you go.
Follow me on Twitter. I am pretty active on there. I'd say follow me on my other socials, but I don't really use Instagram. I don't use Facebook.
Yeah.
But follow me on Twitter @TuboWare, or just Google TuboWare, TuboWare. I'm the only one. Go find me.
It's definitely nice to be the only one. That was a perk that I enjoyed for many, many years, and now there are other Ultra Davids out there. There's like an Ultra David 07 on Twitter. There's like the other people now.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I can't actually get Instagram. Somebody either I did it and forgot about it, which is absolutely plausible, or somebody else got Ultra David on Instagram before I got.
I like the first option. Is you made one and forgot what the password is.
That probably is what it is, actually.
Yeah, I think so.
That's always the best thing about jchensor is that there's no way anybody else would come up with that through any sort of random like normal nicknaming, you know?
Very original.
Yeah, it's easy to get that everywhere.
All right, well, Sounds good. So, TuboWare, welcome to the show. We'll see you here every week. Well, you are really braving the coronavirus to fly out here each and every week. Congratulations to you.
Well, I know you guys are here with me, so if I get infected, we all get infected, unfortunately.
That is a great point. And, James, I'm going to need you to buy some giant plastic separating devices here. Yeah, have you seen that at stores? You know, you go into there separated from the people who are working behind the counter, as you should be. I don't want to be next to this guy over here. He's going to be on a plane all the time.
I'm going to hug you later, too. Don't you worry.
Ooh, all right.
I will definitely put up the photoshops of the plastic. I mean, actual plastic walls.
That would actually be hilarious if you did. All right. So, I guess that's it for talking about Tubo. We're going to just start the show normally now, I guess. Again, there is not actually like a ton to discuss in terms of news. We do have topics that we'll be discussing, but as far as like, guess what, everybody? There's a great new big thing that happened. We're just going to have to make do without. So let's get to tournament results, huh?
Yes. And even the tournament results seem pretty light this week as well, huh?
Oh, yeah, I guess you could say that. To start with, let's talk about the Blink All-Star Challenge for Mortal Kombat 11. Blink Esports has been doing challenges and streams. They are the folks out of the Dominican Republic, and we've seen them for Street Fighter and for Tekken and other stuff as well, I believe. And now they did it for Mortal Kombat, and it's super cool what they do. They make cool art of all the players each time. So if you didn't see that, check it out on their Twitter. It's just Blink Esports. They always have pretty cool little designs, and I appreciate that. You know, it's like an extra sort of step that they go to that not everybody does. As far as the tournament itself, they got Destroyer to commentate, who is in the U.S., and then they had John commentate from the DR, and he was commentating in Spanish, and Destroyer was commentating in English, and they both like understand the other language, so they were just like talking at each other like, "Hey man, how's it going?" Like it was just back and forth like that the whole time, which was actually a blast.
That's skill right there.
Yeah, it was super cool, I thought. So this was Mortal Kombat players from NA and from the Dominican Republic. It was won, by the way, there's also a prize pool of $1,350. So
nice.
Shout out to that 16-person invitational. It was won by Gur, by DF Gur.
Nice, I didn't even know.
Yeah, Gur's been killing it, man. He's certainly one of the best players in the scene at the moment. BC Biohazard got second place with Kano and Baraka, which is cool. And then LS I Scorpion got third with Jackie, Sonya, and Cetrion. But a bunch of other players were in this who you might know, like Scar, Rewind, Honeybee. Samij actually got last place.
Oh, no. Wait, last place?
There were also lots of players who I didn't know about beforehand, so it was cool to watch.
I think you pointed out Samij took last. Not he didn't, but Samij he was last, by the way.
Nobody sucks more in this invitational. No, I bring that up because I know that James likes watching Samij, and he always asks me like, "Hey, how did Samij do?"
Yeah, I know. He was the Catwoman player, so I watched him all the time. So I just became a Samij fan.
He's a real nice guy and a strong player for sure, but this wasn't the best showing.
How many people were in it total?
16 people invitational.
Gotcha.
That was pretty cool. Couple other things happened.
I mean, honestly, like, shout-outs to the Blink Esports team again. They're doing a lot of really awesome stuff, and, you know, I think we've told the story before, but, you know, they've asked me before, like, oh, what do you think we need to do more? And I was like, just keep doing what you're doing, dude. Like, the DR scene is really killing it. I'm so glad.
I definitely...
real quick, before you move on, David, are invitationals more common in the NRS scene than other scenes? Because I feel like they are. Like, I feel like I just hear about more invitationals for Mortal Kombat and Injustice than I do for, say, Street Fighter or Marvel or any other game.
I guess I would have to think about that. It doesn't seem to me that way, just like offhand, but I don't know. Maybe I'm like too like in the mix and like I don't even notice. Sure. You know, it definitely could be. Yeah, I don't know. It happens definitely, and this was a cool one to watch. There was also an event that was put on by Angelic. We brought this up before it happened last week. This was the Chadwick Boseman charity event, in which they were raising money, and of course, Chadwick Boseman passed away. We talked about that last week. Yeah, for sure. And the cool idea of this was that it was a Marvel Infinite tournament, and every player had to enter with Black Panther as one of the characters on their team.
Yeah. I mean,
it's a super cool idea. Really. And it's cool. Obviously, the main way it's cool is Chadwick Boseman played that character. But also, it's so rare to see that character in Marvel Infinite.
I know.
Yeah.
I was about to say,
not a popular character.
I feel like this should be good enough reason for Capcom to actually go and patch him and make him stronger.
Man, that'd be dope. Because honestly, that character's really cool. Oh yeah, he's not good. He's for sure not good, but he's really cool. He has a lot of dope concepts, and he has more supers than anyone else in the game.
Yeah, I wanted to play him.
Cool.
When he first came out, I wanted to use him. And I thought about like some cool teams to use with him, but then it just turned out he was really awful, and it just felt like every trick that should have worked like didn't work because of like a pixel, like it was just a pixel off or a frame off and everything. It's just like they didn't want a lot of things for him to be as dirty as they should have been.
Well, I mean, the way you can think about Black Panther is, what is Strider's worst move? It's his wall cling. And then they built an entire character around wall cling.
Right.
So
that actually makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it just didn't work out very well. I if they would have just made his cross up on the ground, made him like Wolverine, if they would have made him a function, he probably would have been pretty good.
Yeah.
They could have just done that.
They didn't. But they didn't do that, probably because they knew people would just go, "That's Wolverine," So
either that, or they were saving it for Wolverine.
Or Wolverine, yeah. That's also a possibility. Who knows? But yeah, Black Panther's not the strongest. I think the Jaco Man won that event, though, right?
You are correct.
Yeah, my boy Jaco Man. He is a nut. That dude plays just... He has a game plan, and it doesn't matter if you stop his game plan, he's going to keep doing that game plan always, forever. So yeah, big ups to Jaco Man for winning that.
He won it with Ghost Rider Black Panther.
Makes sense.
Nice. Interesting.
And then Joe-Bot got second, and I believe he was playing Zero, I believe. No, or was it X?
It was X. It was definitely X.
Was it X? Was it X?
It was
yeah,
X. Yeah, 'cause I saw some of the footage. I want to say Jaco Man used a little bit of Ryu in Black Panther as well, because he's been playing a lot of Ryu recently.
Okay, sick. Yeah. And then Erebus got third, and that was Sigma, Black Panther.
Okay.
Yeah, it was cool. I watched a little bit of it. I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched the grand finals and like part of the losers, and it was cool. You could definitely though tell that these are like not Black Panther experts.
Right? Yeah.
They're like doing some basic combos, missing some stuff for sure. Like it was definitely like main character party, and then like Black Panther would come in and he would do a couple things and get him out of here. Like
there probably is no such thing as a Black Panther expert out there. That's how
There's two.
Are there?
Okay.
Airborne, who his main team is Spider-Man Venom, but he also plays a good Black Panther, and Filthy Rich.
That's right.
Sick.
That's right.
His Black Panther is the best Black Panther for sure.
That's right.
Is he still playing?
I don't think so.
No.
I mean, most people dropped the game at this point. It's 3 years old and didn't get any support.
I mean,
but yeah, when he did play, he was the best VP by far.
He's too busy. He's too busy, doing good things for Jollibee now. So
he's a good player.
Filthy Rich was always one of the best. He was always one of the best tech guys out there for any game.
Yeah, any game.
I mean, people probably don't even know. Like, they probably heard of him as, the part of the team that made the first season of Killer Instinct and such. But,
right.
He's featured in one of the Evo DVD trailers. I remember putting him in there. I mean, he was top 8 for Tekken one year. So
yeah, I always knew him as a Tekken player. So.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's really good at Tekken.
And he was the Namcop for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I got to know him. So.
All right. We had another event. The Sure You Can Scrimmage, the gold ranked and lower Street Fighter V tournament that we've been running every other week, more or less. And we did it again over this past weekend. It was cool. I mean,
sounds like it was a mistake. Oops, we did it again.
We did it again.
Well, there were some hiccups though.
There were definitely
some hiccups.
Okay. So this weekend it was 121 degrees in one of the cities in Southern California. That's actually 8 degrees, only 8 degrees less than the all-time confirmed and not suspected to maybe have been wrong air temperature ever recorded on Earth. 8 degrees less. 129 was the maximum.
Wait,
and guess what?
Even like compared to like deserts out in like the Sahara Desert, or is those just not recorded?
Well, so there are some temperatures that may have happened, but like may have also just been user error. There were some temperatures that were like maybe seen through like satellite temperature detection, but that's not considered super reliable and legit. So like, is it the all-time highest temperature that's ever been on Earth? Probably not. But like, as far as the ones that are actually definitely verified and recorded for sure, it's 129. And that also happened in California in this year.
Man.
In Death Valley. So anyway, shout outs to us. It was 1 billion degrees in SoCal this past weekend, and James was streaming at the start, and his equipment started to overheat and melt because that's just the world we were living in.
Right.
So I started to stream, and then my power went out because everything was overheating and the world was melting. And so then James, you got out like a frozen bag of peas or something?
Well, I had a bag of corn. Eventually, I switched it to a bag of ice. I just put ice in a Ziploc and dropped it on my capture device. And that seemed to maybe do the trick, I think, because it went smoothly-ish after that. But, yeah, I mean, like, even like Justin and Duck were supposed to play like a first 100 this weekend, and then they canceled that because of the power. I was hearing that there were so many different streams, like so many people having problems with their streams this weekend because of the heat.
Yep, it was unreasonably hot, and that super sucked.
And the worst thing about it, too, is like, you know, it would be such a different story if there was like a scientific explanation, or if there was like some reason why the temperature is getting so hot recently. But, you know, but unfortunately, I mean, there just doesn't seem to be any answer out there.
I don't know what to tell you, James. Yeah. I think the real reason that our computers didn't work is that they were just full of beans.
Yeah, full of beans. I think that's
This is beans, James.
Are these the motherboards?
No, this is beans. Unfortunately, it wasn't just beans. It was actually 1,000 degrees outside. The winner of it was Azor MX, which was cool. Second place was Pepe MM, and third place was Seamouse. Yeah. So we got a lot of cool character variety. We had some different regions involved, which is fine. I mean, it's just the NA that we keep it to, but as far as all over Canada and the US, there were players, and it was awesome. And this was the first time that we opened it up to 64 players rather than just 32. And we got 57 entrants. Yeah. That was all in about a day.
Yeah. And two of them, we actually had 60, but two of them actually messaged me and were like, shoot, I can't make it anymore. So, you know, like, that kind of happened.
One person ranked out of gold, right? Got up to ultra gold.
A couple people actually, a couple people, right, so it's gold and lower. And we did have a couple people this past weekend who couldn't play because now they're in a higher level, which is exactly what we want, right? That's so cool. The experience that you get from an event like this, you know, if you're on stream, we will give positive critiques. Even if not, other people in the chat and in the Discord are talking about how to improve, and they're getting games against each other, and they're leveling up, which is exactly the whole point.
Yeah, one thing I do want to also point out, too, is that the first and second place, who are both in the chat, Azor MX and Pepe MM, were both born in Mexico. They currently live in the States right now, but both of them with Mexican origins, so shout-outs to them as well. So we had a all-Mexico finals, essentially.
Nice. A lot of fun. Then the last one that I have to talk about here is the Queens of Quarantine, which was cool. This was run by the Reddit folks, and they also had sponsors involved. Like Chewy was a sponsor, and Red Bull sponsored. Like there was definitely a nice production value going on. Good commentary. I thought it was a lot of fun to listen to. And this was won by Mira.
Yeah, nice. She won the first one, right?
I believe that's right.
Yeah.
Or she did really well at it in any case.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Was Marine on commentary again? I didn't catch it.
It wasn't Marine. No, it was Flex.
Did she enter the tournament?
I don't think so.
Marine. I'm gonna have
she's not up in the top in the results here, so and she's super good. So
yeah, that's when you said Miria won, I was like, it has to be Marine or Miria because like in my mind those are two of the better female players in the world, honestly. So
Mira won. Miria.
Is it Miria? Oh, it's
Yeah.
Mira. Oh, okay.
Mira, aka Mia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's super strong.
So we got
and
Mia,
Sherry got second.
Miria, Maureen.
Yeah, Marie. There's too
And
many
Marie,
M's.
that's true, actually. Oh, God.
Too
That's
many
tough.
M's.
Too many MRs, right? So Mira, Maureen, Miria.
Where
Now
did
we
they
just,
stream it? It was on the Reddit SF channel,
yeah.
which I follow and watch every week, and I forget it every single time. Twitch.tv/Reddit, or is it RSF or something like that?
Isn't it
Actually
Reddit
typing it
SF?
Reddit Fighting is what it is.
Reddit Fighting. Okay, there you go.
Got it. Nailed it. You knew it the whole time.
Dude, the worst part about it is like it's just like trying to memorize phone numbers now. You just have it all in your phone. You just have it all in like people don't even probably remember their own phone numbers, right?
Dude, I'm weird. I can remember I can remember nothing in my life but numbers. I remember numbers from my phone numbers from my childhood.
Mm.
Yeah, it's weird that stuck with me for some reason. It'd be nice if my brain kept other things. It's like I can remember frame data forever. But
I'm actually the same way. I know my credit card by number.
Yeah.
And that changes all the time, but I know it. But do I know like the conversation that I had yesterday? No.
Nope.
I don't remember.
Nope.
I accidentally
I signed up for Instagram and I don't remember that. You know,
I end up accidentally memorizing like people's license plates a lot of the time, just because I told you like before, Tubo, that like I love puzzles and stuff, and so I'll always see like the 3 letters of a license plate in California. It's number, letter, number, and so I always take those 3 letters and try to make the shortest word with those letters in order all the time. Like that, just I don't even try. Like I just see it and my brain just starts doing that because, like I said, I'm just a big fan of puzzles and word stuff like that. So
Tetris guy, a fan of puzzles? No way.
yeah, pretty much.
So shout outs to the players there. That was fun to watch, and I had a good time. And it was again great production. Good work, and important. You know, I mean, that's the kind of thing that we should be supporting. It was good to see.
Professor Layton.
Well,
I mean, I gotta do that.
That's all I got for results as well.
Great.
So it's a busy one this week. Hell yeah. Ooh.
Well, I'm hoping next week I will actually be able to run my first official SoulCal distancing tournament. So I'm trying to set that up right now. And hopefully I'll be able to get to that point and start running some Soul Calibur tournaments as well. So, of course, NLBC, Wednesday Night Fights, all that stuff has happened.
Yeah.
I'll be streaming pools for Wednesday Night
There's a
Fights.
bunch of regular weekly tournaments for sure. NLBC and WNF.
Yeah.
Shout outs to Prototype for winning the West Coast Reddit SF tournament. There were actually 3 Hondas in that top 8.
Oh, dang.
That's impressive.
It's because that character is so broken, that's why.
Well, you know I think that Honda's good. I've never
Yeah, I know.
led you astray on that front.
I'm not trying to convince you.
Yeah.
Trying to convince everybody else that
I really not think he's good because he's very obviously good.
Yeah, people don't think he's good.
People
I don't know if anybody thinks he sucks, but like he's never in like the bottom tier, even in like the zany tier lists that we see people put out sometimes. He's never bottom tier, and he's often not even like second to lowest tier. He's usually like in the middle, but even that, like
I think
feel
he's
like
better than middle. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he's probably just one of those characters that nobody's seen results for in tournament yet. And he's not. He's obvious. You know, he's good, but he's not like Seth. Seth is very obviously dumb good. You know.
Yeah.
So that's probably why people just put him in the safe mid tier. That makes sense.
Definitely right. And that's it. So, what do you want to do now? You want to just go on to the next thing? We usually would take a break after about an hour. It's only been 45 minutes. What about you, James?
15 minutes early, baby. See, I'm already tightening the schedule here. You're welcome, guys.
I love it. He's a labor man. Just take the break while you can, right? if the man says that it's time to keep going, but you don't need to keep going, better clock out for a while.
Yeah.
I do think
Right,
I do think that Shay is right though. I think we should try to include the NLBC and Wednesday night fights results and stuff like that. You know, we should probably look those up. But I don't know. Like,
Right. In the future, I'll do that.
Yeah, we could probably grab some of that stuff. So.
I mean, especially now that all we have is online tournaments, anyways. Right?
Yeah. Right. And they're pretty. I mean, they're pretty stacked, right? These tournaments are really stacked. So there is some ridiculous talent in these tournaments.
For sure. Alrighty. Well, let's take a short break then. I'm going to go grab a brownie.
What?
What are you guys going to do?
Oh, well, you're going to grab brownies for us, too.
No. Mm-mm.
Right, yeah. That's messed up, man.
Why?
Yeah,
Why
that's
do
right.
you do
I'm going
this?
to be eating it right here.
Why do you do this every week, David? Why are you like this, man?
I gotta tell you, I get a lot of enjoyment out of it, James. I'm not sure which one I enjoy more, the brownie and other tasty foods, or you not being able to eat the brownie and other tasty foods.
Right? So the goal, actually, so you guys don't understand, is that I'm trying to slowly phase David out. That's why Tubo's here, because he never gives me a brownie, and so yeah.
Wait, but ultra wear would be me and David. So what would we be?
We would be Tubo-Chen.
Tubo-Chen?
Tubo-Chen.
Ugh.
Tubo-Chen.
I don't know, James. We might have to figure out a different name, dude.
All right. Well, I'll try to figure out a different name while I continue plugging you during the break, okay?
All right, appreciate
All right, we'll be back. Shoutouts to Akito Loves Music once again for this background music. I really need to update these slides. Half of these slides aren't even legit anymore.
That's yeah, do your job, James.
I haven't done a first attack in forever, dude.
Yeah, when is the next Unchenzor?
I'm not sure yet because I'm thinking of going a bunch of different directions for streams and stuff. And actually, weirdly enough, it's hard to find schedule. I mean, like, I know you're trying to get me to keep streaming Outer Wilds, and I'm not going to be able to do that tomorrow again because I'll be doing Wednesday Night Fights again. So it'll be Thursday again, which means I'm playing it once a week right now. So
I mean, you know, that's fine. Just play it Thursday. We're good to go.
It's crazy though, right? So like, I want to do other things. I want to stream these podcasts, and it's just like, it's crazy. I mean, I definitely want to have a stream where I talk about 3D games, Shay, but it might not be an Unchenzor because I'm thinking of doing some other different ways to approach that. So
honestly, man, you know, I watch all your stuff, right? I'm a big James Chen fan. Personally, I think First Attack is your best content. However, it's aimed at such a specific audience, you'll probably never get a lot of views for it.
Yep.
Which sucks because it's definitely your best content. You will go all out for that stuff.
Yeah,
all the drawings and all the it's
I
great.
practice
really
for
good.
it. I rehearse it the day before.
It's really, really good, man. But you're aiming it at people who are kind of learning fighting games but aren't at a level where they don't need that advice anymore. So
I mean,
I'm literally aiming that at like 10,000 people worldwide.
So I'm aiming it at the people who really don't know much about fighting games. But the thing about it is, if you don't know much about fighting games, you have no way of finding my content.
Yep. It's a very niche audience that's aimed at, so it's tough.
And the worst thing
that really is your best show.
And the worst thing about YouTube is that the way YouTube works is that if it doesn't get a lot of views, they just throw it away from all search results. You know, it's basically rich get richer YouTube, you know what I mean? They usually recommend and put stuff up and high up in the search results that are viewed more, you know what I mean? So it's really, really hard. So
rough. Yeah,
and that's the thing is I want to do a second edit for First Attack, but I can't. I'm just like terrible at that. I'm the person who has to basically pick my favorite child when I'm cutting content out. I don't know what to cut out. I don't know what to leave in and stuff because I feel like everything is. There was this one graphic that came out that was like normal people telling a story, and then there's like me telling a story, and it's like must provide the context so people understand what's going on, and here's this backstory, and then explain the other backstory, and then do all that, and that's basically me. So like I can't talk about fighting game stuff if, like, you know how Sejam was doing those little 2-minute tutorials. I wanted to put one out for Lucia that was basically 2 minutes of me going, so with Lucia, what you want to do is, well, before I get into that, let me explain how Lucia's moves work. Well, you know, before I get into that, let me try talking about how Street Fighter V, you need to do the, you know, the RP. Well, so here's the basics.
Talk about Lucia's lore.
Here's the basics, and then just have the video end. That would be my 2-minute guide to Lucia, basically.
Hey, you should have done that. That would have been great.
Hey, I think she has a Puerto Rican Spanish line, but also has her costume is like a traditional German girl outfit.
Right.
What's the deal with that, James? What's the lore?
That's Falk, not Lucia, right?
No,
Lucia's
she has
Lucia
it.
has one.
She has one. I mean, I think it was just.
What's the lore there, huh?
I think it's a reference to another Capcom game. I can't remember. I don't remember. So.
All right, let's get back to this.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things too. Fanatical Milk and Tiny Text are right. I've had people offer me editor gig, you know, to do editor stuff, but I can't afford any of them. I just literally can't afford any of them. So.
I mean, yeah, yeah. People deserve to be paid for work, right? So.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and
I know the real lore. T-Hawk Type Moon, I know. All right, let's come back.
Yeah. All right. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Tuesday show. We've just finished talking about some tournament results and welcoming our new co-host, Mr. Brandon TuboWare Brockman. Let's move on to the 5-5 matchup stuff. I'm still the only person who really calls you Brandon in the FGC, huh?
Yeah. Most people know me either by Tubbo or Brock. So.
Do you prefer Tubbo or
like
Tubo?
Dude, as long as you don't call me Turbo, I don't give a shit. Like, I honestly couldn't care. As long as I'm not being called Turbo, I don't care. Tubo. The correct way to say my name is TuboWare.
Okay.
Because of my tubs.
Right.
But yeah, if somebody calls me Tubo, it's totally okay. I'm okay with it. It doesn't bother me at all.
I mean,
so if that's what you're used to, go with that. Or call me Brandon, or call me Brock, or just whatever, man.
Because I know people, you know, in the chat have always been, you know, really happy that I try to pronounce everybody's name correctly. So I always just want to make sure. So TurboWare it is. All right, let's talk about the next topic here.
Nailed it. What do we got coming up next? We have the 5-5 matchup section where we discuss talking points, different things suggested either by us or by viewers. We're going to begin by talking about a topic that we thought would be interesting to talk about, and that is commentary. And this is prompted by a tweet, really an interview with Henry G, who was a CSGO commentator, who my understanding is quitting commentary, and maybe also because of, like, at least allegations that he did some gnarly stuff, but the relevant part for the topic that we're going to discuss is that he talked about how esports commentary is full of undercutting and is, well, I'll just say some of what he said. Once you do get hired, they will be very quick to remind you that your colleagues have quoted a lower price and they'll have to get back to you, leaving you confused and worried about the prospect of work. Of course, you will have to bend the knee just to be safe, constantly bending over backwards and operating way above your paycheck just to keep up appearances. He says, in its current state, esports fame is a mask that eats away at the face. Not one company is willing to offer any sort of long-term contracts and sees the talent as purely a commodity with a stock value that influences whether they will hire you. And then Brock, you said that today Sajam discussed this topic as well, right?
Yeah. Sajam kind of, for lack of a better term, he went ham on commentary in the FTC. Just kind of, obviously it was spawned by the Henry G article, right? But he kind of went into his own experience and how he's, in his words, gotten the boot from a certain company as of late 2019, early 2020. And yeah, he just kind of talked about that too, about how even in the FGC, even though we're not esports, however you want to put it, we're still put up against each other. We're still undercut. Sometimes not even knowing that we're undercutting our fellow brethren in commentary. It just, somebody may come to Ultra David and Ultra David's like, yeah, I'll do this for X amount of dollars. And James says, well, I'll do it for X amount of dollars. And James's quote was lower. They're going to go with James. That's just kind of how things are. So he really went into that. And he also answered some questions from the chat about why don't you guys just unionize? And after he got done laughing, he kind of explained that we don't have that power because they'll just go get the next guy that's not part of the union. And you guys will deal with bad commentary or mute the stream, and they don't really care. So yeah, he just kind of talked about that and his own experience about how much of a grind it is, and how if you don't mind the travel and you don't mind streaming 7 days a week and you don't mind creating content and you do all those things and you're really, really dedicated, you might be lucky enough to barely make it by undercutting your peers.
The worst thing about it is that there is no standard rates anymore, and everybody constantly pulls the how much do you charge? What's your rate? Because they want to see what you're trying to, hopefully that you'll go in under what it is they want. Someone once told me a story of how they didn't know how much to ask for money for a pretty important gig. And the person interviewing him actually did the whole, write the number that you want on this paper, and slid it over to him. And he took the paper, wrote down how much he wanted, and slid it back. And the guy opened the paper and looked at it and was like, closed it, slid it back at him. And he's like, please write something higher.
Really?
Yeah, because he actually put it too low. He put it way too low. But that's our lives, right? Because we don't know what to charge. We're like, hey, I want this much. And then they'll be like, what? We were only planning to pay you 1/5 of that, and you price yourself out of everything, so you go low, and it's just it's crazy how hard it is to do this. I get this all the time. Like, hey, would you like to do this? How much is your rate? And I don't even know what kind of rate to ask for half of these things.
So that was part of Sajam's issue, and I've talked about this probably on your guys' show before, but definitely on Generation Spacing.
Yeah.
But damn, I shouldn't even say your. I'm here now on our show. But on Generation Spacing, I've definitely talked about how I walk straight up to other commentators and I say, hey, how much are you getting paid?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Like what work are you doing and where are you getting paid? Because for one, I believe that should be the standard in America, period. For what you work, like that, we're only giving businesses power by not talking about our salaries for the first and foremost.
Yeah.
But as far as commentary goes, if we don't know what we're all paid, it's allowing them to undercut us. So yeah, Sajam was saying, yeah, we just need to talk more. We need to talk more and then be firm that, if I'm getting paid $1,200 and you offer James Chen $900. I'm going to go talk to James and tell James he has to, ask for $1,200 too. Right. And then they have to fairly hire one of us, not go with the guy who wants $300, $400 less.
I know Sajam mentioned, the Pocky Challenge thing. When they contacted me for that, I had no idea they contacted anybody else. The hardest part about it is I've talked to at least 2 other people now who have said that they're like, oh yeah, they contacted me for the Pocky thing, but, I couldn't do it. So good job that they went to you. I have a funny feeling they went to everybody at the same time and just kind of, tried to see you.
Almost for sure, James.
Yeah, and the worst part about it is I don't even know if I undercut anybody. I had no idea. What they offered me, I actually asked for significantly more than what they offered, and I got that. So, I wasn't even trying to lowball this kind of thing. I talked to Justin for advice on that one, and Justin was like, "Nah, charge this much."
Oh, I remember this. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, okay. So, I don't even know, like, that part sucks. And now hearing that, Sajam is wondering if he got undercut and stuff like that, I'm like, shit, well, did I do that? Or did I, what? Now
And I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, James, but I think they do that to us a lot, man.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that they pit us against each other and we don't even know it. It's not something you're doing on purpose or David's doing on purpose. That's why they ask, what is your rate? It's not what is the going rate in all of commentators. It's what do you want to be paid for this? So it's not your fault.
There have been effective standards at various points. I would say there was a standard for a while before, like, the Pro Tours really came in. It kind of like ended up just people coming to the same number over and over again. And I remember talking with other commentators, and we were all getting about the same. Maybe there was like some slight, disparity, but it wasn't like a lot. Right. And then when the Pro Tours started, I guess really when Capcom started, that kind of set the base that then others started to use as well. And everybody, as far as I know, who commentated on that, on the CPT, got the same rate. I don't think that there was any differentiation on that. Maybe you got to commentate more or less, right? So that could have been a difference in terms of how much you made overall. But as far as like the rate, it was the same. So there have been moments when that's happened, but each time like new things come in, like now there are other Pro Tours, and each of them are paying who knows, right, some different amount, and not everything is on the Pro Tour after all, or on any of the Pro Tours, and so then it's up to the tournament organizer themselves to pay rather than having the money come through the Pro Tour. The tournament organizer is the one who has to pay in that case, and then they do whatever they can do.
Yeah.
So at this point, there are all these different amounts going around, and while I would imagine that if you are on the Pro Tour for whatever Tekken, like it's probably the same each time.
Right.
I don't know. I imagine, but each Pro Tour has like its own amount, and so there's no real set overall overarching standard. And then it's always been the case that for more unique things, there is a different rate. So when it comes to like a normal, say we're on the Capcom Pro Tour, each of the normal events is like a set amount. Capcom Cup may be different. Evo may be different. Like those much bigger things may be different. So when it comes to like how much money are you willing to do for a Capcom Cup or for a little skit that we're going to have in the middle of Capcom Cup during downtime, like that is maybe something where there's a little bit more like it's up in the air. Yeah. But when it comes to non-Pro Tour commentary work, some tournament organizers just have a rate that they will give, and many others are just whatever, how much do you want, right? That I think is the point where there's more there's more incentive for them to sort of look for the lower costing person, and where people who submit how much they want to get paid, whether you get that much or not, is just that you just had no idea you're gonna get that.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm one of those guys that's not on a Pro Tour, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not getting your MK rates or James's Street Fighter rates or anything like that. But I'm fairly well known. I've done a lot of top 8s. I've commentated Evo, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm one of those guys who gets stuck with taking what the TOs offer or trying to sell myself that I'm worth more, right?
Right.
And I feel like I'm pretty dope at commentary. Like I feel like I'm pretty damn good at what I do. So generally, unless it's a certain event that I'm not going to name, I'll almost always ask for a certain rate. However, it's hard for me to get those gigs when Ultra David and James Chen and Sajam and Tasty Steve and Yipes and Ringe and Vicious are already there. Because they're there doing Pro Tour stuff. They've already gotten flown out. Their hotels are taken care of. Why are they going to fly me out, pay for my hotel, and pay me, my rate, when those guys can just slide into the gigs that I was going to do anyways, So I'm one of those guys who's, like, on the cusp of, do I want to just, like, for lack of a better term, shill myself to a certain game and try to get on a Pro Tour so I take care of that stuff? Or do I just keep commentating the games that I actually love and deal with the terrible rates that TLs can offer. Like, not that they want to offer, just they aren't making a lot of money, man. Right. So sure, I just kind of usually I'll push myself, but certain events that I have like a legacy with, I don't really argue about my rate very much because I feel like I owe them, I guess is the best way to put it. Like I've been working those events for a long time, and I'm appreciative of what they are, and so I don't really push rates. But if it's like an event I don't normally go to, like CEO, I'll make Jabali pay me. Pay me, Jabali. So, Yeah. But yeah, like I'm one of those guys that's in between that. I don't have the Pro Tour opportunity, so it gets really, really dicey for someone like me to ask for more money when they can just have, Ultra David slide in and do the commentary I was going to do anyways.
And there's a lot that's just outside of your control or in any of our control.
Yep.
What if Marvel Infinite came out and was super successful? I think that it would have been a real different story for you and for several other commentators, right? I mean, we've talked about this before. Obviously, it super sucks. It did not, for not just this reason, but for many. But we don't have any control over that. And as far as even when it comes to the Pro Tours, maybe somebody who runs the Pro Tour is just like, hey, I don't like Joe, right? Whoever, right?
Yep.
You can't do the commentary anymore. Maybe.
Yep.
Well, there's sometimes just a capriciousness to it that makes it hard to view it as something dependable. Yeah. Maybe you don't like a game anymore. Maybe you've just fallen out of love with it, right? And it's really hard to commentate things, at least well, if you don't actually care for it. And that's part of why you're not doing it, right? I mean, it's a drag. It sucks. It's hard. You're worse at it if you don't care about it. Like, it's just not a good idea.
That was
so there's a lot there that we just don't have that much control over, and I don't know how that would change. That would be hard to change.
Yeah, that was definitely. Oh God. Yeah. Anyway, what was I? God, there was like 4 things I wanted to say. I can't remember any of them now.
Get it out that you hated cross Tekken. We know that.
Oh yeah. That was me commentating cross Tekken for sure. But one of the things, I mean, I've done events before where, because I'm James Chen, I could probably ask for a little bit more money. But then, for the co-commentator, a lot of the times I'll actually talk to the people who are paying me, and I'm like, I want this rate, and you have to pay the co-commentator the same rate. I'll actually say that to them. I've done that many times now where I'm just afraid.
I'm pretty sure, not to cut you off, but I'm pretty sure there was an event you and I commentated recently together that you may have done something like that.
Yeah.
If I recall correctly.
Yeah, I've always tried to make sure of that kind of stuff because I never want to feel like I'm taking the budget away from somebody else. Like, oh, okay, well, we can afford this much for James, so we'll pay this person less. And I just don't want that to happen. So, I've talked with some of my co-commentators before that are more on the up and coming side of things, and I'm like, you know what? Because they're like, I don't know what to ask for, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? I'll make sure that we get the same amount. It's kind of one of those things that I try to do. And I see a lot of people talking this in the chat right now. It's also what makes it really hard when people do volunteer to do commentary for free. And, you're like, people are right. It is one of the ways that you can make it, but it does hurt a lot of people, because I get a lot of people who actually say to me, well, I'll just do it for free because I'm just glad to be able. I mean, that does hurt. It hurts a lot. It is a problem. And there's already not any money in this field already. And so we're talking about undercutting, right? Offering for free is the ultimate undercutting that you could possibly do. Yep. Right, and so it does make it hard because commentators also do not have the ability to show proof that because we're commentating, we're getting more viewers. We have no clout, we have no power, and so when somebody out there says, I'll do it for free, they'd be like, well, we're going to get the same amount of views anyway, so it doesn't really matter. We can't go up to somebody and be like, hey, look, I tweeted about your event. I've commentated this. We're getting you this many more views. We don't have that ability because we have none of that data. That data doesn't exist. And so by offering yourself for free and comment, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm not saying you're an asshole for doing it because everybody's out there trying to make it. Everyone wants to do this kind of thing. But the understanding is that the environment you're creating will be worse for you later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just to piggyback off that, James, I think there is a time and a place where you can offer free commentary. Just don't do it at major tournaments. If you want to be the guy that offers, or girl, or whatever, that offers free commentary, do it at your locals. If you're trying to break into commentary and like, I don't have any power to ask for pay. I get that. I started somewhere too. That's cool. But do that at your locals. Do it at home. Do it in ways that it won't affect someone who does this for a living.
I did try to curate numbers that I was hoping would show that I was a value to streams, that I brought in viewers. And so I tracked like the viewership on streams that I commentated. And even during the times that I commentated compared to when I wasn't. But that was actually really not conclusive in any way, because those were just the biggest events.
Right.
And I was just like doing the top 8, so it was going to be more anyway. And maybe I brought some value to that, but I don't know how I could test that, because there wasn't some world in which I wasn't doing those tournaments that I could compare to some world in which I was, and I wasn't willing to not go to a tournament and get paid to like have this experiment. That didn't seem like it was worthwhile to me. So I don't know. I gave up trying to track that because it just wasn't. It didn't make any sense in terms of how I was trying to go about it.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't begrudge anybody for trying to put in a lower amount of money and try to get a gig. That's just like a labor thing that if you're trying to get work, that's okay. I think it's not good to do for zero, and it's not good to do it for zero for yourself either. That's not a long-term strategy. So if you are somebody wants to get paid 500 and you're like, well, I'll get paid 400, you're underneath, that is fine. I mean, that's just bargaining. If instead it's I'd like to get paid, or I could get paid zero, that's bad long term, because it teaches the people who are making those budgets that they won't have to budget money for commentary in the future. Right. And so if you even yourself, as the person who does get hired for $0, you yourself will get less money in the future.
Yeah,
because
that's what I mean.
You have helped to teach the people running the shows that they don't actually have to pay at all, and that will include you in the future as well. So that's not good for anybody. As far as the amounts that we get paid, I'm always super forthcoming about it. And, whenever I've been on a pro tour, I talk with the other people who are doing it to see that they are getting paid as well. And whenever anybody has asked me how much money I'm getting paid, any of my friends, how much am I getting paid for non-pro tour stuff, or free, whatever, for pro tour as well, I'm open about it. Yeah. And in the past, James and I have negotiated together many times, and I know that the Steves have done that together many times, and I know that Ketchup and Mustard have done that, and in fact, I just did an event for Amazon not long ago, Mortal Kombat event, and after I, figured out what my rate was going to be, I messaged the other guys who were going to be doing commentary as well, and was like, hey, keep in mind, like, this, you may be able to ask for this, you may be able to, get more, I don't know how much you're asking, but, like, make sure that you try to get this. So, I mean, that's always been an important goal of mine. And several years ago now, I made a Discord that was, like, for all the commentators at that time. The intention was...
Dude, I looked in there, like, a week ago just to see the last time somebody talked, and I think it was, like, 2 years ago.
At least. Yeah, it just didn't work out. People didn't want to talk. And, I mean, that's okay. It is uncomfortable, even though I think it's for the best of all of us, and if we were all to divulge what we get paid. That also opens up problems. If people who do the paying find out that we're all talking about it, they're not going to be happy. Maybe we get blacklisted. If even something that's less damaging than that, maybe we just get upset at each other. You're getting paid more than me, I'm mad, or whatever it is, right? You're embarrassed to find out how much other people get, or you are mad to find out how much other people get, so you'd rather just not talk about it. And that's just very common in culture anyway. Those are uncomfortable conversations very frequently.
One of the other things, problem too, is like people have talked about unionizing. Let's say we can unionize, right? If all the commentators agree to charge the same rate, then we have the exact opposite effect. Then they're going to get me and David and Steve and Yipes and Persia, and they're not going to get any. Nobody's going to have a chance to grow at that point. So it's like the opposite problem of doing commentary for free. You know, we're basically creating a hierarchy where only the one.
We locked them out.
Yeah, we've locked them out, and there's just the 1%. You know, making this money. So
look, man, if I'm locking out everybody else, put me in that 1%. All right, sign me up for the union. I do want to actually address one of the things that someone in the chat asked.
Fanatical Milk says, "Would there be any way to track how many comments in the chat reference your name?" We probably could do that, but we'd have to probably pay the commentators who have their name referenced the least in the chat. Because as me and David have learned over the years, when what was the site that had all the posts that closed recently? NeoGAF. NeoGAF. We would check NeoGAF threads and we would check chat and stuff, and if they didn't talk about us, we would high-five each other and be like, we did a good job commentating. We did a good job. Because
I became a decent that was my moment in my brain where I was like, oh, I'm getting good at this. Because the chat stopped mentioning me by name purposely.
Yep.
They might laugh at something I say. They might, get involved in what I'm saying, but they wouldn't talk about me directly.
Yeah.
They wouldn't say, "Oh, TuboWare sucks."
Yeah,
they say your name when you're new because congratulations, it's super sick. You did a great job. Once you become a regular, that's not like an issue anymore. And so then not the only time, but very frequently you get mentioned just if like you screwed up. Ultra David got that wrong. Like that's not.
Or God, I hate.
It's not like hilarious point, Ultra David. No, I mean sometimes it is that. That definitely happens sometimes, but more frequently, it's less obvious that you did well because, like with anything, people are more inclined to comment if there's some negative thing. You look at any product reviews, right? Like that's just how we all are.
Yep.
It is hard to test.
That's the way we always did. So I always, like, if I'm watching chat, this is the hardest part. If you're doing your job as a commentator, people don't notice you. That's kind of the weirdest thing about it, because you're naturally in there, you sound like you belong, and everybody is like, oh, okay, what they're saying is right. The more they talk about you, that means they're mad at you. That's like the weirdest part about the whole entire thing. And yeah, absolutely, no news is good news. That's how I judge my commentary half the time, is if people are not talking about me, then I feel like I'm doing a good job. It's really crazy how it is.
Yeah. About the money aspect more specifically.
Well, so wait, hang on a second. I do want to say, yeah, good commentators make the experience better. But when they make the experience better, that's when you don't notice them because you're enjoying the whole thing. So you're not going to go into chat and be like, wow, Ultra David's really making this event so great. Like, you rarely see that.
Well, you do see that sometimes. But I think what more frequently happens is that people are having a good time and they don't feel compelled to say it out loud.
Right, exactly.
And I do the same thing. I get it. I totally get it. Again, that does happen sometimes. Like, we definitely do get positive feedback here and there. But yeah, I think that most of the time that you are named, it's like not in a great context. As far as the money goes, another aspect of this that I think people may not expect is that to have sort of a bigger name in commentary comes with some presuppositions on the part of the people who may be hiring you. And so if you're one of the better known commentators, they may expect without asking that your rate is higher than they can afford. And so that has happened to to all of us. I know it's happened to other commentators as well. And so you just sort of get bypassed without even having the chance to put in how much money you get paid. And in some cases, those are like the amount that they would have paid is actually the amount that like we tend to ask. Now sometimes that's not true. Sometimes they're right that we would have asked for more money, but we just like don't get the option in some cases. That's not super common, but that does happen too.
Yeah, there have been times where definitely someone didn't ask me for commentary, and then I find out that, they thought that I would be too expensive, afterwards, that they thought I would charge, like, significantly more than I actually would have charged. And I was just like, nobody in the FGC makes that kind of money, okay? Let me tell you.
How many people in the FGC have been on ESPN, James Chen?
Yeah.
Well, I was on ESPN only for the Tetris stuff.
You're on. I could be on ESPN for tackling a guy on Scare Tactics. They better pay me more for commentary.
But I'm just saying, I'm a TV guy. It was only the most recent year that I think I might have broke even for the Tetris gig. Every other year cost me money because, one, I love it. Two, they don't have a budget. Right? Yeah. Like, literally, they don't have a budget. I mean, 2 years ago, basically, they're like, would you like to do this? And I'm like, sure. Bought my own plane ticket, bought my own hotel, went there, did the commentary, and they're like, cool, thanks. Like, that's how it is. That's how crazy it is out there. I mean, the craziest part to me is that everybody has this perception that if you're on the TV or something like that, you've made it. But one of the most eye-opening stories that I heard recently, and I think I talked to you about this already, Tubo, was the Japanese actor who played Nobi, the crime lord boss on the Daredevil show on Netflix. Yeah. He actually lost money doing that role because he loves Daredevil so much, and he lives in Japan, but he wanted to give that role such the respect that it deserved because the producers of the show were like, whatever, nobody cares about Asian people, hire whoever. Like, they just didn't care. And so he was like, no, I want this. So he took this really low rate, flew himself to Japan, had to find a place to stay, rented out a hotel room. He lost money doing that role on Daredevil. Like, can you imagine that? He's on Marvel's Daredevil. He lost money doing that role. And then himself and Madame Gao, the Chinese crime boss, those two who had backstories, and the producer said, you know what? No one cares about Chinese people, so they cut all of these backstories for these characters. They didn't invite them to the premiere event for season 2. Like, this is, like, it's like this in every scene, dude. It's crazy. And, like, you would think that, oh, he's on Daredevil, he's rich. But, like, that's not happening, And we're FGC, we're commentary. I can't barely ask for, anything for a lot of gigs a lot of the times. And it's crazy.
Yeah, and Tubo, you said that, CJM said the same thing, that this is just not a gig that you make a lot of money doing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just something that's not going to make a lot. I have talked with people in the bigger world of esports, and some of those commentators do make good money. Some of those commentators are in 6 figures. I don't know what Henry G was getting, but, I mean, to hear his, or to read his interview, it doesn't sound like you felt like it was that much. He says, again, oh boy, I should have written this part down. Constantly bending over backwards and operating way above your paycheck just to keep up appearances with your multiple employers.
Yeah.
So whatever the rate that was that he was getting, he didn't feel like it was commensurate with him traveling to 150 events in like 5 years.
Yeah. I think the CSGO commentary world is quite a bit different from ours. And a lot of people give FGC crap because we're not esports, so we're not, professional or whatever, however you want to put it, right? But I remember Thorin, but I remember Thorin a few years ago saying, oh, well, all the commentary contracts, or casters, as they call them, that's just word of mouth deals. There's no contracts. Almost every FGC gig that I've gotten paid for, I've signed a contract.
Well,
so I think we're a bit different from them in those regards.
The part of the reason that we sign contracts is that one of the commentators is a lawyer and was super insistent in early years that we all get contracts, and that those contracts not just be for me, but also for the other commentators. So that's not, we don't categorically do that. It's not every single time. But I feel like that is probably like an unusual aspect to our commentary scene that like maybe others didn't have.
Right.
But that should be normal throughout, right? Like it shouldn't just that word of mouth in email contracts is the way Thorne put it. That shouldn't be the norm.
Dude,
it should be the way we do it, and you should sign an actual legal document stating I will make this amount of money.
Right.
Sure.
I mean, honestly, I just did an event that had no contracts. It happens all the time. Yeah, I just did.
I've never done, besides like when I do commentary for a TO, like for an event directly. Even then, I want to say Combo Breaker, I sign a contract every year.
Yeah. No, I literally just did an event with no contract, and I can name you a bunch of them this year that I've done that have had no contracts. It happens all the time. So
I have a commentary template. I'm just ask me next time.
Yeah.
Fill it out with your name. It's easy to do.
Yeah. Yeah, get that in writing, man.
As far as like how to make this situation better for ourselves, it's hard to do. And to hear that Sajam thought it was funny when somebody asked about unionization, I think it is about where I am at as well. There's a couple reasons for that. One is to go back to legal stuff. There's no obligation that you pay attention to a union of people who aren't your employees. And we're not employees. We are independent contractors for the most part. In California this year, there's a different law. Some of us have to be employees, a little bit different story, but for the most part, that is the case still. And so there's no requirement that if we have a union that the bosses have to negotiate with us, which is the case for employees in other industries, for employees in general. So that's different. But then on top of that, we're different people. We're different places. We like different games. There are different publishers. There are different tournament organizers. There's just all these little different things that I think do make it actually pretty difficult for us to have the same conversation every single time. And on top of that, different tournament organizers, publishers, games, etc., can afford different amounts. It is not the same across the board. And I know that. I mean, that's obviously a reality of the situation, is that you can't just ask for some amount of money and get it. Yeah, it has to be within their budget, and their budget is going to be like more or less. And sometimes that even shifts. Sometimes one year a tournament organizer or a commentator could have some amount of money. Maybe they did well in getting sponsors or whatever it was. Maybe the next year they don't do as well, and they don't have as much money. So there have definitely been events that I've done for some amount of money. Then the next year it's less. It's not always on the upward tilt either.
Right.
Yeah, and that's another hard part too, because when you are on a world tour, you're like, oh, cool, I'll ask for this much, but then it's like, homie is running this event, he doesn't have a budget. You're like, all right, I won't ask for that kind of rate. I'll ask for a little rate. But then even within yourself, you're kind of undercutting yourself. Like if you're constantly shifting your rates back and forth, it's hard to kind of generate a consistency amongst different tournaments,
Yep.
So it's...
And then, go ahead, David.
What AJ says in the chat is also right. He says that the funny thing about contracts is if an org breaks it and you chase them to court, they'll likely never hire you again. Yeah, I think that is right. And in some cases, you burn bridges. For James and I, last year, it took an entire year for us to get paid for something that we did. And that sucked. And even this year.
I know, I was about to say, we're still chasing something right now.
And part of our decision making is not just, look, I have the ability to take somebody to court. I know how to do it. I can do it without having to pay somebody. I could just do it. So the cost that maybe would be there for many people is not there for me. But I still have the cost to contend with of the fact that maybe they won't hire me in the future, and there's only so many people who can pay, and is it worth getting paid this time to probably not get paid in the future? Sometimes maybe it is, but other times maybe it's not, and you just have to sort of play that by ear and decide not just on the legal merits of your case, but the business side and the the PR side to it. Are they?
Yeah.
And then there's
so also... like I've been paid, for example, in some instances where I've said it on Twitter. Hey, I haven't been paid. I haven't said which group hasn't paid me, but I have said, hey, waiting on like 5 digits worth of money that's accumulated over the last year.
Yep.
What's going on? and I've been paid like very shortly thereafter. So there's different ways that you can go about it. But yeah, we do have this limitation of the people who we are getting paid by. If they don't pay us, will not be people who pay us in the future, and that means it's harder to maintain the career.
And Zygon's right too, is that sometimes if you do take someone to court, the amount of money you end up taking them to court is going to be more than what you are suing them over. You know?
Oh yeah, for sure. That's why I say that I wouldn't have to bear those costs because I could just do it. But certainly,
right.
In many cases, in almost all cases, the amount of money that's at play in commentary is going to be like small claims court stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's just not going to be worthwhile.
Someone literally just told me that there's money that they're owed that they haven't been paid yet, that they're just not even going to bother. It's just not enough for them to really go that hard into. Yeah. And they just have to accept the fact that they lost that money, that they did work for something that they're not getting paid for.
Yeah, I've had to have that conversation with people as the lawyer who they consult. And it's a bummer to have that conversation with somebody, but, law is a business at some point, and while I can definitely do stuff pro bono and have spent many hundreds of hours of doing that over the years, there's some stuff that just would cost me money as well, and I would need to get paid for it, and I can't do it for free. That's the business side of legal decisions is a bummer, but it definitely exists at some point, yeah.
So, honestly, the question really is, how do we solve this? And I don't know if there is a way to do it.
There isn't a way to do it. Not until esports in general, but for us, the FGC is way bigger than it is, right? Like, in order for us to really fix it, we would have to all be open to what we're being paid, and we'd all have to adjust accordingly per event. But there need to be events every weekend for us to really have power on what we charge and how we go about collecting and all that stuff. Right. Because that's the way things are. There's maybe 15 to 20 commentators that people know about, and all of us are replaceable. Right. All of us are replaceable by the next guy up who will do it for less.
Yeah, and it's crazy because, I used to wonder to myself, like, my God, these wedding photographers or people like that, man, they charge a lot of money for this work. This is kind of ridiculous. And now that I'm doing the freelancing stuff and realizing that I'm kind of in the same position, like, let's say I'm like, hey, this event will pay me $1,000 this weekend, right? And you're just like, holy crap, you're getting $1,000 for the whole weekend? Wow, Mr. Moneybags. If I traveled to an event every single weekend, I say this on stream all the time, if I travel to an event every weekend, I've made $52,000 untaxed.
Yep.
Untaxed. And so when April comes around and you get destroyed, you may be taking home maybe $30K of that. And if you live in Southern California in particular,
you're homeless.
You're done.
You're straight up homeless. You can't survive.
Right. And so
I live in Minneapolis, and $30K take home is hard to live on.
Right. And so, that's one of the hardest things about the job that we have is we get this money and we're like, oh God, thank God this guy paid me. Thank God this guy paid me. And then we dread April every year. And then we can't get health insurance because this country sucks. And then we can't get dude, people have probably can see this. I'm poking at my arm all the time because I literally have something on my arm right here that I should probably go see the doctor about. I can't do it. I can't do it because I've signed up for some cheap ass, health insurance that I can afford. And everybody I call, they're like, sorry, we don't take that health insurance. Sorry, we don't take that health insurance. I made the joke that it's itchy and scratchy money, right? It's like real money, but fun. You walk in the park and it's like, oh, hey, look, nobody takes it. Like every doctor I've called, and I signed up for a PPO, which means you're supposed to see out-of-network doctors, and I can't see out-of-network doctors. And you're right, and Hi-Fi's correct. 52K is assuming there are tournaments every week. I maybe traveled twice a month to an event back when we weren't stuck at home. So that's like 26. And if I got paid $1,000, that means I made 26,000 that year. So yeah, it's it is.
Look, man, that's a big part of why I would not give up my main career.
Yep.
Even if that career wasn't lawyering, I would not want to give it up. If this is too volatile, it could go away at any time. Again, maybe somebody who runs a pro tour just is like, hey, I don't like you. You're never commentating for us while I work here. Maybe you're right. I mean, despite all your other best efforts, there's just a capriciousness in it that is hard to make your main thing.
Man, I wonder if that's ever happened recently.
I wonder if that's ever happened, indeed. Yeah. So you have to supplement it. It's just not a something that you live on. And whether you supplement that by, having a stream or whatever, even that is not going to be a lot of money. There are probably 2 people in the FGC who make a significant amount of money streaming, and nobody else. Everybody else, I mean, there are probably a few other people who make, like, they are paying their rent, like they're not behind on bills.
I mean, do you count Eris and Max as FGC at this point?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Then I would say there's 3. There's 3.
It's probably Max, Sajam, and Eris.
Yeah.
I don't think Sajam. I would not. I would.
No, Sajam.
He said on stream today he does.
Yeah, Sajam.
He said on stream today that now what he does is when somebody comes to him about an event, he goes, "Well, would it be worth me not streaming 3 to 4 days in a row?
Right.
Because I will lose more money than you're paying me, so you have to pay me what I need in order to recuperate the money I lose from streaming."
Yep.
For sure.
Therefore, Steve is probably making a few thousand a month minimum.
He's talked to me about how many subs he has and how much he makes, and it's good.
I think we may be talking on different scales, but I'm glad to hear that Steven is doing well for sure.
Right.
In any case, there's at most, I guess, maybe 3 people. So I don't see how you do this thing as a career. I think it's a real fun thing to do on the side, and I certainly spend a lot of time streaming and making YouTube stuff, and I really enjoy it. I'd be real hesitant to do it as a career.
Right.
I mean, I've been in the red every single year that I've done this, and I mean, I would still be okay financially if I didn't have to spend so much to repair my home just last year.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the other problem of owning a home as well. So, but yeah.
Hey man, just sell your house. You'll be fine. Live on the street, no big deal. Just stream from McDonald's or a Starbucks. You're good to go.
Dude.
Yeah, I don't mean to cast any aspersions on Steven. I'm super happy for him, and he's done a great job for sure. I don't mean to say anything negative at all. I'm just saying that I think as far as making something that you would consider a lot of money, it sounds like at most just a few people in that.
I mean, not counting Smash streamers, because there are definitely a lot of Smash streamers out there that are doing super well for themselves.
Yeah. From what I understand, Mango's like balling.
Yeah, Mango does make money. That's
Leffen
true.
too. So.
Yeah.
Now, I know someone in the chat...
There's other income sources for them as well. Again.
Yeah, someone in the chat told me that I need to start slinging that booty. Look, I'm telling you right now, if I could show my cleavage on stream to get viewers, I 100% would do that. 100%. Like, that's why you can't even get mad at, like, people who do that. Like, the only reason why guys get mad about it is because they can't do it too. Because if they could, trust me, they would. 100%.
I told you about my accidental mukbang adventures on Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I don't know if you can equate that to showing off your body, but I definitely felt weird when people would tune into my stream just to watch my fat ass eat.
Yeah.
That was definitely weird.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe that equates somewhere in there, but honestly, if I would have got 1,000 viewers, I probably would have kept doing it.
By the way, there are a couple of folks in the FGC, men in the FGC, who are doing that.
Are they mukbanging it up?
Not mukbang. I mean OnlyFans type stuff.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm not hot enough for OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I am. I doubt I'm hot enough for OnlyFans.
We talked about one of them on the generation spacing for the longest time. We were trying to get enough subs to get Tubo to actually subscribe to the OnlyFans to find out
Nikki has an Only. I forgot about that.
How did you forget about that, dude? That's all.
Nikki gave the information away, and he could have got a sub. He gave the information away. For those of you who wanna check out Nikki's OnlyFans, he is nude. I'm not gonna give you the link because I don't remember it. But if I remember the link, I would tell you. Ask him; he'll tell you. He's not ashamed.
No. Anyway, look, I mean, this kind of work is probably just inherently unstable. Having read and heard a lot about just traditional entertainment industries since going back forever, it's just unstable. It just is always, and maybe you make a lot of money for a while, but that's not, in many cases, not going to last either. So it's a hard line of work to make your full-time gig. I do think it's great as like a fun side thing. That's all I would want it to be personally. As far as doing it more, James is trying to make it work. I mean, I think it's real tough to do.
Well, to be fair, I haven't. I haven't made it work. But, I mean, the hard part about it, too, is that I got burned by my last job so badly that even when I, was trying to still work right before I got laid off, because I quit my company, ended up going back to it, but, I got so burned by it that I just wasn't even sure if I wanted to do programming anymore. So now it's just I want to do something completely different. But how do I even do that at this point? How do you get into a new field when you're as freaking old as I am? You know what I mean? It's hard. It's hard.
I'm gonna go back to school, James.
Yeah, but that's the thing is that there is a lot of ageism out there too, right? So when it comes to trying to hire somebody for something, and if I tried to get a programming job, they're gonna be like, what is this gap for 5 years? Like, what the hell were you doing in this? And I was like, oh, I was doing esports. And then they'll be like, so you haven't coded for the last 5 years? And then peace.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a tough situation. So I mean, obviously, it's true. It's never too late. A lot of people out there have actually gotten their fortune very, very late in their lives. I was just reading about all sorts of different people. Success at Samuel L. Jackson didn't get his first role till he was 40 something. Blah 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 blah. The Colonel from KFC didn't get successful until he was 40 or 50 something like that. It's definitely out there, but a lot of that is luck. A lot of that is the luck of the draw kind of situation. So,
indeed. By the way, has this been called commentary the whole time? That's a bummer.
Did I? Oh, commentary. You're right.
It's just fancy commentary. That's all.
Yeah. That's French commentary. Yeah. Hey, thanks for the sub, Tyler. And also, thanks to Tavi for the raid. High five. Anything else to say about this particular topic here?
I'm all cashed out, man.
Alrighty.
Hey, so am I, in a lot of ways. So,
dude, nice. You already know that I am with you. We're in the same boat, my friend.
Yeah,
we're gonna drown together. Damn it!
I bought a mattress today, and it hurts because my mattress is 12 years old at this point in time, and might be one of the reasons why I'm getting poor sleep and backaches all the time. So I was like,
maybe a very good reason.
Maybe I should get a mattress, and I did, and I hope I can afford my mortgage.
And it's get.
What's that?
What'd you get?
Labor Day sale. It was a beauty rest, a Simmons beauty rest.
Oh, okay.
That's was on sale. So
We got one of those purple mattresses.
Oh, I heard those aren't very good.
Oh, we love it.
Oh actually. Yeah. Okay.
We're having a blast. I mean, all we do in bed is sleep. So, moving on.
No comment.
That reminds me, I gotta keep plugging TuboWare during this stream.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you're having a blast in bed and James is plugging me. This is a family show.
It's going that way today. You want to get to viewer questions?
Sure, let's do that.
All right, let's do that then. So typically we have a poll and everything, but we got 2 submissions this time, so I didn't think that made any sense.
Okay.
So let's talk about these 2 questions. First, we'll just do these one by one. What do you think is more frustrating to lower level players, getting run over by a grappler or getting lamed out by a zoner? As a purveyor of both grapples and zones, I'm happy either way. But what do you guys think?
James, you start on this one.
Zoning for sure. Because the trick about zoning is it feels like it's impossible. And if you don't know how to fight a zoner, it just feels like they have the answer to everything. And it just feels like you're not allowed to do anything. You're not allowed to try anything. There's something different about, like, when you're fighting against a grappler, you can try to jump away. Maybe if you do predict a, SPD, you get to punish them. But against the zoner, like, when you can't fight a zoner, literally, you are stuck on the other side of the screen. You get hit. I mean, it's why people get so mad at it. Like, yeah, people get mad at grapplers, but not to the degree of zoning. Not to the point that, people, obviously it wasn't seriously entertained, but people talked about banning Jigglypuff from Melee, right? Because they consider Jigglypuff kind of zoning, like, oh, you're not actually playing the game. And frankly, when me and my brother used to play Street Fighter 2 early on, we used to get mad at each other for turtling. Like, why don't you fight for real? Why don't you actually do something instead of sitting there all the time, blah, blah, blah.
You haven't done a combo this whole time.
Yeah, honestly, zoning...
The same move over and over again.
And the hardest part is when you actually try to play a zoner, you realize how hard it is to do, right? But... Yeah. The more frustrated your opponent gets, the easier it is to zone them. And it's so glorious when you can detect that they get frustrated. That's how zoning works, is that they lose patience. Like I said, like when I, on at B5, I think it was, B5 or B4, when I used Zangief in Alpha 3 and defeated one David Serlin's Dalsum, a lot of the times you would actually see in the match, I would actually jump away to full screen to reset the situation, as opposed to trying to be frustrated and get in over and over and over again. So,
are you telling me you beat the David Serlin?
I did.
Because I'll have you know, he has more top 8 at Evos than Sajam ever did. I'll have you know, sir, okay?
And even during even during the interview section on that tape too, they were like, they were interviewing Serlin and they're like, blah blah blah, and what do you hate? And he's like, I hate James Chen, because that was after I beat him.
That was like a quarter century ago. Wow, that's long lasting.
Yeah. I mean, I share his sentiments in hating you, but I also share your sentiments in saying that people hate zoning more. Because, yeah, what you said when everybody in the chat is saying it's not real fighting. Why don't you fight like a real man, bro? Like, yeah, that's just... If you look at Scrub Quotes is filled with zoner haters and not grappler haters.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, they feel like if you're close to them, they had a chance. Even if they didn't have a chance. They feel like if their opponent is close to them, then they have the chance. Yeah. But if you're Sagat throwing fireballs full speed, well, I didn't even get the chance to hit you.
Right.
Fuck, bud. But, yeah, definitely people hate zoning more than...
And weirdly enough, I will also say this, too, as an addition, as a quick addition, more people will play grapplers than they will play zoners as well.
Yeah, that's true, too.
There's there's definitely a lot less hate towards grappler because more people are actually using them. So,
I think that I largely agree with you guys. I think in almost all cases, I think you're right. I think there are some grapplers that I can recall people who are lower level being like extra mad about. Like I remember when BlazBlue first came out and I was like magnetizing people in with Tager, in the arcade. Many players in the arcade were like legit. You know, they were like dedicated fighting game heads. But sometimes people would come in and just would have no idea what to do about that, and they were as mad as if I had been playing, you know, new or whatever. I mean,
fortunately,
so I think that's more the exception. Or I'm thinking about maybe like the idea of like maybe Marvel 3 with Team KBR. You know, you just have no decisions to make if you get hit once, and that can happen at round start at 99 seconds.
Yeah.
So I think there's like a couple examples where grapplers may be as frustrating as zoners, but I definitely agree with you guys that in general zoners are more frustrating to people.
So to add to that, I guess, is that good grapplers will piss people off. Average zoners will piss people off. You know what I mean?
Okay,
So that's kind of the situation.
That's above the level we're talking about.
Yeah.
Once we're getting to that level, that's people that actually play fighting games that are going to be mad at zoners.
But it's just that you don't even have to be a proficient zoner. If I just throw tiger, uppercut you twice, the guy pulls. You know what I mean? Like, that just happens, right? It's crazy, dude.
For sure. Hey, thanks to Zainatsu for the sub, by the way. Yeah, I agree with you guys.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. As far as the second question, with all the charity tournaments we've seen recently, do you think the larger FGC should try to band together for a big multi-game online event charity endeavor as a way to not just get more charity money, but also to bring the scene together?
Become AGDQ, FGCQ, fighting game community quick.
Yeah, I don't know. That's tough to say. I like how things are done now. Is about all you can really say about that. Yeah, I feel like we could lose a lot of our grassroots if we decided to do something like that. I don't know. It's hard to say. David, what are you thinking? I don't have a lot of thoughts on that.
I don't know that this person is saying that they want everybody to work together under the same like enterprise. Maybe that's what they intended, but the way I read it was more like, what if we had like what we used to think of as Evo, but like for charity, and everybody would play in it. Yeah, rather than like every tournament organizer working together, maybe more like just have like a huge event that the scene could just like coalesce around and.
Yeah, that's a bit different then. Yeah, that would be cool. Sure, why not? Do it. And then have exhibitions and all that stuff.
I mean,
great. I don't think it would be as big as AGDQ, but it could work. It would be a nice little charity event.
And it would also...
It wouldn't be as big as Evo. Sure.
And also, I think would be a little tougher, too, because, you know, a lot of players out there are in the same boat as we are as commentators, right? They're not making any money, right? And so... for the past few years, it's like, oh, do I want to travel to all these different events? I gotta cut some of them out because I can't travel all the times. Well, I can make the most money at these events, so I'll cut out these other ones, right? And so if we did a charity event, how do you convince Justin and Smug and everybody to go out to that event, right? Do you say to all the commentators, you got to do this for free as well, you know, kind of thing? It's a tough situation. And in terms of competition, it's one thing. See, AGDQ is a show. It's a performance thing, right? And a lot of the streamers will get a lot of notoriety from that, and people like Trihex and whatever, you know, they'll actually get people to go to their streams and watching, and they can actually benefit off of that. I don't think that applies to the fighting gamer, you know, because people, when you watch a competition, they root for you because they want to see you beat people in tournaments, not perform how you're doing well in this game. You know, I don't know. It's a very different feel to me, so I don't think it would work necessarily.
I guess the worries of you know, yes, sure, all these players are broke too, and we're all trying to scrape by and yada yada. You don't have to worry about that, because the way charity works is you pay out everyone, and then your proceeds go to the charity. So I don't think that's necessarily a problem. The problem is when you invite, you know, 80 players to come and do exhibitions for you, the charity might not make enough money to pay all 80 of those, because the FGC is not big enough.
Right.
And obviously, yeah, they'll be asking commentators to probably work for free, and streamers to do that for free, and it would be tough. But also, in the world we're living in now, you could probably do something like that online.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think that we're talking about people actually traveling here, because, the sort of, my understanding of the implication behind this is like, look, charity tournaments we've seen recently, everybody knows the world we live in. I feel like we're so like ensconced in it that we don't even necessarily need to say, in case we can't travel anywhere, what do you think about with all the charity tournaments? Right? I mean, that's just the world.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so I guess I can actually talk about this now because it's something that ended up not happening. I was gonna run a charity event kind of like that.
Right.
When Combo Breaker had announced that they weren't going to be able to be run, I was like, I'm going to throw an event called Corona Breaker, and I'm going to have a bunch of high quality commentators. I'm going to run tournaments. It ended up falling through because I couldn't raise enough money to pay the production team, and I had trouble getting sponsors for it. But I had big plans, and I actually had contacted David and James and Ebonic Plague and Tasty Steve and say blah blah blah, Yites, etc. All these commentators were willing to work, and we're going to do all this stuff, but yeah, it was going to all be online. So I don't see why it couldn't work with the right team. Like say like 10-0 try to do something like that. I think they could pull it off themselves. But someone like me who was broke and couldn't afford to pay a production team, it didn't really work out very well.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be a tremendous amount of work with even less money than tournament organizers tend to make, right?
Yeah. You would not be making money.
The AGDQ model is super, super hard to recreate. I feel like that's something that's just like lightning in a bottle almost. I just don't know how you could do that on purpose with a scene that already has existing non-only charity-based events. I don't even know that it's desirable to. So, yeah, I mean, I think it would be great. I think that's a tall order and would be very difficult to do in reality, even if everybody is at home, just because everybody'd have to be on board, and it's hard to get everybody on board if there's no money involved. And if there is money involved, it's hard to get enough money if it's all just for charity to get people involved.
Yeah, I think it certainly could work. It would just be really tough. In my own experience, it was really tough to make it work. So,
right.
I hope somebody could do something like that. That'd be dope. Pull it off. I would love to be part of it if somebody does something like that. But yeah, it's hard. It's very hard to do.
It just reminds me. Is there anything else to say about this?
No. I mean, just the same thing. Just to echo what Keats is saying in the chat, it's so hard to do online events because all of our net code is trash right now, right? So it's just like
not all.
But, I mean, it's really like it's so depressing that I am tempted to try to run Street Fighter V on the Parsec stuff. Because, like, I'm replacing rollback with delay. Like, that is blasphemous. But in the worst way possible, it might actually play better because they did such a bad job with the rollback. And it makes me so mad. And, like, everyone always comes on my stream and they're always like, oh, how does this work? How does Parsec work? And blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, it does this. And then I always have to put the caveat. I was like, if everyone programmed proper rollback netcode, I wouldn't be doing this. I would 100% not be doing this, right? So,
correct. Yeah.
Hopefully,
I mean, no one's going to argue that steel is stronger than plastic, right?
Right.
But if that steel is rusty and worn down and bent, you probably want to go with the new shiny plastic, and that's what Parsec is too.
Right.
The Street Fighter V rollback. Street Fighter V, it's rollback, but it's rusty, beat up, dinged up, garbage rollback. Yeah. So you want to go with something that's more stable, and that's what Parsec is, man. I don't think anybody can really blame you.
I mean, the hardest part about it is, you want to try to be, as like Keats is saying, like being a collective about, making the games with the good netcode popular, but that's just not what determines popularity, unfortunately. There's so many factors that go into it. It's tough. I hate that. It's just like, I think it was Reddit Street Fighter. They tweeted recently, and they even admitted it was kind of a bad take. So I don't even want to dwell on it. But they're like, I don't understand how this ragtag stream gets more views than this well-produced stream sometimes, and blah 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 blah. And like I said, there's just no accounting for what becomes popular. Like there's just no accounting for it, and it's crazy.
All right. Well, that's all for the 5-5 matchup.
Okay.
The idea of having to say affirmatively that we're talking about a world in which none of us can travel just reminded me of back before coronavirus. I mean, like over years, I'm super interested in World War I, and I've like done a lot of reading about it and watched a lot of documentaries. And definitely, and one thing that cropped up multiple times was that there's actually a lot less correspondence and written stuff about the world after the pandemic in 1918. Like what happens afterward? Like people stop talking about it at some point, and they rarely say things like, you know, back in the pandemic or due to the pandemic. Like they just stop talking about it, and that seemed super weird to me at the time before we had our own pandemic. But now I totally get it, because it's just the implication that's behind absolutely everything. It's like one of the bedrock things of life now, and will be for the foreseeable future. And you don't need to talk about it, because it's just can go unsaid, and we all know exactly what we mean without needing to constantly say, due to the pandemic. Like I get it. Like we're independent,
right?
So sure, I get it now.
It's just an implicit part of you talking about life,
exactly.
Basically, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's it for 5-5 matchup. Let's talk a little bit about some of the news, because there is a little bit going on out there. In Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, talk about game news here, they had a temporary Blitz mode. I don't know if you guys tried this, but
I read about it, but I didn't play it.
Different tiers that were like based on their prior ranking, and then they played for in-game rewards rather than for like actual rank. Like they didn't move up or down in rank; that stayed the same. But they had different rewards that they could get. So it replaced ranked mode. I guess it's over now. I thought that sounded kind of interesting. And from what I read about on Twitter, people who were playing the game a lot, they said that they saw a lot of a different set of characters that people on ranked didn't want to take into rank because they were afraid that they would lose. But with that not on the line, with rank not on the line, only the ability to win some in-game stuff, instead people were just experimenting a lot. And I thought that sounded kind of interesting.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I didn't plan it, but as soon as I heard about it, I think that was so great. I loved everything about when I read. I was like, this is the best idea ever, because, like I said, you know how I feel about online. I think it's absolutely a miserable experience, you know, in a lot of ways. You're literally going online and kind of sucking the fun out of video games when you play it a lot of the times. And to create that kind of environment, to create a way for people to play without having that worry about losing and stuff like that, I think that's genius. And having these one-off events like that, I mean, you see it happen a lot in like Tekken, right? They'll have these little, little side events. Oh, here's this GP thing, you can play in this little tournament. And sure, if you lose there, you don't get whatever, but it's separate from your rank. And so here's the limit. You can't use these cards, or you have to use these cards, or so, like they throw little things like that. And definitely, I feel like more fighting games need to do that. Just have little online events where people can jump on. And like I said, one of the hardest things about fighting games is I think that a lot of people forgot how to make it fun. like just to make it fun again. I really feel like people have forgotten how to make this playing fighting games a fun experience, and I think doing stuff like that is great. I hope more people. It's like I said, the worst thing about, in terms of the FGC, the game that got hit the hardest by the pandemic was Grand Blue. They're doing so many things right. They're doing so many wonderful things, and the game is just not getting a chance. It's just tough, dude.
Yeah. Grand Blue definitely got the short end of the stick. I didn't play in the Blitz stuff myself, but of course I read about it, and I think it's an excellent idea. As you guys know, probably, if you follow me on Twitter, I play a lot of a game called Rocket Arena. And Rocket Arena, to get more people to play, they have these fun little events, and they've been doing them every other week, basically now, where you play the game and you get prizes, which is essentially what Blitz mode was for Grand Blue. And yeah, doing stuff like that, like James said, it's fun. It'll bring people to play your game, and what that does is even if people come out just for the weekend event or the week-long event to play that stuff, a lot of the people that normally play the game now have a bigger player base to play with. They don't have to worry about the same 19 people online to play with. Now they have 300, 400, 500, 700 people, whatever, to play with.
Yep.
And if 10% of those people stick around, that's a boost to the player base. So that, yeah, I really wish fighting games did stuff like that more often too.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think it's a very cool idea.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with, Keats and James, the Powerhead, both of them. Like, Keats is saying that they didn't forget how to make fighting games fun. They just never knew, right? But then he's right about that. But the reason why he's right about that is a lot of what James, the Powerhead, said is that it really was the in-person community arcade aspect. Now, obviously, a lot of people have had terrible arcade experiences or bad community experiences, but for the most part, I really do feel like that arcade experience really made a big difference for a lot of people,
It did, but, that's 15 years gone, 20 years gone from
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing you can do with that, do about that part anymore. Except, like I said, try your best to do something in-game to recreate community aspect and stuff. And like I said, I don't know what the answer is, because if I did, I would already be telling people and trying to make that, But I don't know what the answer is.
Well, part of the answer is these little Blitz-type events, for sure.
Yeah.
Just do things that make people want to play the game, even if you're not necessarily a competitive player. Because part of the problem with fighting games in general is they're made for people that are wanting to play the game competitively, right? Like, they're hard. Fighting games aren't for everyone. Even in a game like Grand Blue, where they simplify all the motions and they make special moves easy to do for beginners, and beginner players are still going to get mollywopped by a veteran. Like, that's just... Fighting games are hard, and they take a long time to master for most people. So doing things that are fun, little funsy events, is perfect. That's what they need to do more of that.
Yeah. I mean, it's why I had that whole Unchensor episode where I just talked about that. I do feel like fighting games are harder to learn today than they were 15 years ago, even with YouTube and Wikipedia and Twitter and all that shit, because losing the community aspect, losing the friend aspect is a huge blow to learning fighting games. A lot of the times I didn't realize I blocked a jump in 17 times in a row until I lose and I got off the arcade machine. I was like, God damn it, I lost again. And my friend's like, do you realize he jumped at you like 17 times? And I'm like, no, he didn't. And then, of course he did. And you just don't want to admit it, like those little things like that are completely missing from the one-player online experience. And you can read all the articles, watch all the tech, all that stuff, not having that guy out there going, why do you backdash every time he does, like just not having that is such a huge strike to trying to learn fighting games.
Here's everybody's problem. They're not friends with Ultra David or Keats or K-Loud, because all three of those assholes make sure to let me know anytime someone jumps in on me. Ever. They don't even they're not even watching me play fighting games. I'll be playing KI by myself at 12:30 at night. I get a text from David. Hey, that guy jumped in on you.
What do you mean? First of all, you're the one who's doing the jumping in.
That's also that's definitely true. Yeah, I definitely am in the air most of the time. You're not wrong.
Air for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, another cute little thing that's going on is this Street Fighter V costume contest. Ooh. We talked about this last week. The two costumes that got the most votes were going to be the ones that Capcom would put into Street Fighter V. We talked about last week that the two winners were both jury outfits. And while the contest said that the top two would get made, some people thought maybe, since it's both the same character, that maybe they would go down to number 3 for at least one of them, which was Sakura. But no, it's both jury outfits. So congratulations to jury for getting
I know,
2 more costumes.
I know a lot of people out there are going to be judgmental about all that stuff like that, but I don't think you could judge properly until you get 10 more jury costumes, because you need 12 people in the jury to judge properly.
I knew where it was going 30 seconds ago, but I appreciate it. It was good.
If it makes you feel better, James, I didn't see it coming.
Okay.
You hit me with it, and then I'm very disappointed.
Okay.
So.
I figured David would realize.
Nice work. Yeah, as soon as the word judge came out, I was like, whoop.
Yep.
How do you say that word? Got it.
Man.
So anyway, yes, it is both jury outfits that will get made. Congratulations to JNXC and to Gar for their designs. Shoutouts also to somebody in the chat. JNXC is in here sometimes. I'm not sure if they are today, but
It's probably sad because last week we talked shit about his costume, and so he's probably like,
I don't know if that's fair to say. Did we do that? I mean, that wasn't my intention. It wasn't the one that I would have voted for, but I certainly understand why it won. You know? I don't even mean that as a negative. Did that come across as being a jerk?
Yeah,
we weren't actually talking shit about it. We were just saying, of course it's gonna win because look at the suggestive pose and stuff, So
I don't want to poison the well.
Hey, ding ding.
Footsies has a Steam beta update. Hi-Fi said on Twitter. That is an added arcade mode, which is in alpha. It's not done yet, but it's there. Okay. As well as a tutorial. So if you got the Footsies beta, please check it out.
I'm telling you, man, Hi-Fi has a time turner, dude. He's got one of those things that Hermione had in the third Harry Potter film. There's no way that guy can be programming Footsies, making those videos, and watching 100 streams, even individual streams, and putting out highlights like he does, dude. And,
by the way, I'm pretty sure he works and eats and goes to the bathroom, and I'm sure
also, he's watching Ultra Chen TV right now.
I know he is. He always is.
I'm pretty sure... I'm actually pretty sure Hi-Fi is a corporation. I don't think it's actually one person. I think
it's he Dread Pirate Hi-Fi?
He's what? The Dread Pirate Hi-Fi? Well, no, because then it would be another person replacing him every time without, telling anybody.
Right. Maybe a different Hi-Fi each day.
He's actually Calvin from Calvin and Hobbes. He created the cloning machine, and so now there's a bunch of Hi-Fi's running around. Oh, man.
So check it out on the Steam beta for Footsies.
Man, I have the not Steam version of Footsies that had rollback netcode, but I don't think I have it on Steam.
I have it on my phone. So.
Well,
yeah, I have that one too.
Never done a good job with this, but he gave us beta codes, and we have not given them out on this program.
Wow.
Have we done that?
No, we have not. No, we have not.
I thought about that right now.
I'm the worst at doing stuff like that.
Our bad. I guess we never did that, dude. But thanks a lot for the codes. I'm gonna make a note of that right now. That we will, in the next episode, announce that we're gonna give out in advance. So
you're making an announcement. You're gonna announce it next week.
Give out.
Yes, I was supposed to give out those Volta X codes during Outer Wilds, and I totally forgot because.
You gave them out during Tepin. So
I did. Outer Wilds is too involving to stop and ever be like, hey, let me actually give out some codes. Because you're like, fuck, I want to find out what's coming up next, basically.
And also, to be fair,
4 hours.
What's that?
Oh my god, no, David, don't.
What's that? What did you say?
No, don't spoil, spoilers.
I watched you a little bit. I'm not going to spoil anything. I would not do that.
Alright.
No, of course not. I don't actually know that much about it.
Yeah,
I wouldn't anyway.
You probably watched like 5 minutes of it when Ben was streaming it.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. All right. There is. Oh, do you got more to say on that?
No. Go ahead, dude. No, you're good.
There are some fighting game sales on PSN. So we have discussed this before, but Street Fighter V is actually free on PS Now for this entire month until October 6th. So check that out if you are curious. The Fantasy Strike is also free, but that's just like a permanent thing, at least for some modes. Power Rangers is 40% off. It's $11.99 right now until September 10th. So you got a couple more days.
Cool.
Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is 60% off at $9.99 until September 17th.
Pick it up.
DOA 6 is free, but that's how it is. World Heroes is $3.99, which is 50% off. That's until September 10th. I don't know which version of World Heroes this is. But that could be pretty cool. Oh, let's see. World Heroes 2. Let's see.
That's a good one. So
Interesting.
It's a terrible game, but it's like good because it's fun. I like like when we made the joke about an announcement, one person said, "How very Capcom of you," and then the next line is immediately, "How very Arxis of you."
How very fighting game devil.
Yeah, how very video gamey of you now.
Everybody does that. And then also Blade Strangers is 50% off at $19.99. So there's a bunch of sales going on for fighting games on the PSN.
Yeah.
Check them out.
I remember Henry G, had said that he had some big announcement for the CSGO world that he was going to announce like the day after he said he was retiring. Did anybody hear what that was? Or?
He's the CSGO manager for, I think, Cloud9.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Oh, okay. So he quit commentary to be a manager then?
Yeah. I think he might have just been quitting commentary, but yeah, he's hired.
Cool.
I believe it's Cloud9. Let me know if that's wrong in the chat.
Okay.
As far as game news, that's all I got. There is, though, like, kind of game-ish news in that there's console news, because the Xbox Series S leaked. The picture of it leaked, the price leaked, and then Xbox was just like, all right, it's true, and confirmed that it is indeed happening. It's coming out November 10th. It's all digital. There's no disc drive in there. It's $299. It has a 512 gigabyte SSD. It has 1440p up to 120 FPS, and also 4K upscaling. And it will be available at $25 per month with an Xbox All Access plan as well. So that news came out. That's kind of nifty. Keep in mind there's also going to be the Xbox Series X. Boy, they could have done a better job on that.
Dude, the naming is oh god, like
that one has a disk drive, and it has more teraflops, which I know you are very interested in, TuboWare. Yeah. And also 4K resolution, which I know you are also very interested in.
Yeah, on my 1080p monitor that I got in 2010.
Definitely, yep. All sorts of hertz going on, who even knows. $499, or $35 a month. So there are these two different Xbox Series coming out. Who knows why they called it the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S? That's just... Is there some language that's not a tongue twister in?
I mean,
I guess in some languages this could be the SA versus the X, which is actually a lot more intelligible. But in English, especially American English, we pronounce those two like almost the same, and that's
where the console was developed and created.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, it's like Darkstalkers, because the original Darkstalkers had, all of them have ES and EX moves. It's like, okay, no one could ever get that straight. But now they have the Xbox Sex, right? So they have the X-Bone and the Xbox Sex. I think that's what they're actually just trying to do, to be honest with you.
Wow. Are they pulling like a 90s Disney and just inserting like sex jokes and penises into their movies?
Elon Musk, dude. That's what Elon Musk did with the Tesla.
What?
There's the S, the 3, the X, and the Y. Those are the models.
Is that real?
Yeah, it's sexy.
Wow.
Did you do that on purpose?
Exactly why he named them those. The Model S, the Model 3, the Model X, and the Model Y.
Is that really why, though?
That's legitimately why. He wanted it to be sexy. That's what Microsoft is pulling now. They have the X-Bone and the X-Sex. Great. Thanks, Microsoft.
Great. So, these names are a bummer. I would say, though, that the size of the Xbox S is nice. Like, it's a small little device. I think it's nice looking. It's got like a speaker kind of vibe going on. It's not very big. The price is reasonable, $300. You know, that's like what a Switch was, right? And I think that's a very reasonable spot. I mean, I guess I will get. Well, I'm not gonna get anything immediately, but if there are fighting games for it, then I'll probably get the one that has the disc drive so that I can like have discs for games that I actually care about. But other than that, I think that's a great idea.
What I think is dope that they're pushing is their financing. Because
Right.
I'm broke, right? I can't drop $500 on a console probably ever, at least in the foreseeable future. but I could afford $30 a month, $35 a month on a new console. Like, I wish Sony was doing that, because I'm assuming that the fighting games are going to be played on Sony's console again, which is the console I'll buy eventually, is the fighting game one, because that's mostly what I play, right? So the financing thing I think is really, really cool, because what it does is it gets people to get the console, and then they're going to get the Game Pass, because the Game Pass has a bajillion games on it. So now you're paying them monthly fees for two things, and Microsoft is getting money right away, rather than someone going, well, I'll wait 4 years for the price to drop, because eventually it's going to drop. Like, those people probably won't exist now. They're just going to finance the console right away. I think it's really smart.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, do you know
especially in these economic times?
Do you know if the financing
Although
includes...
obviously that goes unsaid. Doesn't need to be said, as we previously mentioned.
Did they say anything about, like, interest on the financing, or is it just straight up just financing?
It's just straight up $25 to $35 a month. When you pay it off, it's yours.
Huh.
Yeah, it's a really good idea. It's cool. I don't know if credit scores are going to come into play, but I would assume for such a low price on something that's not, they're not going to do credit checks, right? Like, I really doubt.
Yeah,
so
doesn't seem likely.
So yeah, that's how you do it. You pay your $25 a month, you get your console. That's pretty cool in my book.
I agree.
Man.
So that's cool, and that's coming out soon. That is in just over 2 months. That's soon. Yeah. I mean, there were rumors that, maybe not even rumors, but like people were saying things like maybe they should push back until next year, considering that like Halo they pushed back, and considering that nothing is really being worked on super fast right now. People aren't in the state where they have a lot of money either, a lot of disposable income at this stage.
Someone was actually saying to me that during this pandemic that computer prices have actually kind of skyrocketed because everybody's stuck at home, and so they kind of want better computers. Maybe this is the right time to release a console to give people new stuff to play.
Okay. Yeah. And also, awesome news about the Xbox's coming competitor, the PlayStation 5. Truly Exquisite announced that you can get a $10,000 24-karat gold-plated PlayStation number 5.
That's not a Sony thing, though, right? That's a third-party company.
Yeah, a company called Truly Exquisite makes that, and they also have not just the PS5 itself, but also the controller and the headset. Ooh. Do you want to wear it? Anyway.
I'm good. Yeah,
congratulations to the fact
I feel like no one will ever buy that. Or if they do, that you're a douche. Like,
well, yeah.
There's no other way to put it.
Yeah, no, that's definitely like Trump would have had it in his Trump Tower if he cared about video games.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The golden one.
It's an investment. Do you understand?
Okay.
I'm going to sell it later. Come on, guys.
I mean, gold tends to keep going up. It's pretty safe. So maybe if there's enough money in there, you could just like sell your PlayStation 5 in 10 years and melt down the gold. I think this is not a great economic plan. We're moving on.
Hey, I'm also the person trying to do commentary as my job. Bad economic plans are in my bone right now, okay? Let me tell you.
If you ever want to eat gold, I've eaten gold. Have you guys eaten gold? You ever ingested?
I feel like I might have for something. Like, I remember a dessert that had some of it or something on there. So
I've ingested gold many times.
I have, if you count Goldschlagers.
I do count Goldschlager.
Oh, yeah. Then I've drank a lot of gold in my time.
There is actually gold in there. It's so stupid. I've never bought Goldschlager on purpose, but some moron friends of mine used to like it back in college because they thought it was fancy. And I was always like, just take the gold out. I don't care about this gold. It just
definitely not fancy. But it does, if you mix it with Jaeger, it does make Starry Nights, and those are delicious.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. All right. Let's end on a bad note. Lab Zero laid off everyone who hadn't already quit.
Oh, I didn't even hear about this. Jesus.
Oh, well, welcome to the news, James.
Welcome to the news. 7 of them had already left. We talked about that in the past. There were apparently 11 folks remaining, and they have been let go. And they were let go in an August 25th email. That email said to be on the lookout for additional severance and an email about that in the future, and promised to maintain health insurance through September. I hope that those things were right and that they are followed through on. I don't know. I hope that is true at least. So Lab Zero is, I mean, it was over. We talked about it, but now it's definitely super over.
Yeah, it's very sad. I feel bad for those employees, man. I really hope they get good severance.
Yeah.
I've been laid off several times in my life. I know how rough that is, especially in a job that you really love. I was in a job I loved in November, and I got laid off. So, yeah, I definitely feel for them. That sucks. It's really unfortunate.
Man. Okay. Well, I mean, I remember, the company that owns the Skullgirls, the IP, and Autumn Games,
Yeah, Autumn and
there's an H and a V in it.
Yeah. I just know Autumn Games owns the IP for Skullgirls.
Yeah, though I'm hoping that they try to hire some of them to keep the working on the
they
games.
said that they would.
Right.
That is happening. Yeah, Six Machine, Kinuko was selling off art books to support the laid-off employees.
That's so cool.
My understanding is that worked, and that I don't know how much money they raised, but that she sold off all of her stock.
That's cool. Okay. Good to her. Good on her. Good on her.
Anyway, that sucks. So,
yeah.
That's it. Congratulations, everybody.
We did it.
We did it. All right. Well, what else is going on as far as upcoming news?
Hidden Variable. Thank you, Macross. That's the name of the company.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
I'm sorry, what was your question, David?
Oh, I was just looking up upcoming stuff because I had forgotten to do this. I believe that there is a CPT coming up this weekend. Yes, there is. The Europe East and Middle East 2 Capcom Pro Tour event is going to happen this coming weekend.
Okay.
So keep an eye on that. And that's all I got. All the news. What are you guys doing yourselves? What's up? What's new lately? And so forth. Hey.
I've been playing through Blasphemous, and that game is super dope.
Yeah, I saw you take like 30 tries to beat a boss. That was cool.
Listen, man, that was like 20, and that was the only boss. Every boss in the game is taking me 2 tries. That boss bodied me, though.
Hey,
that boss was tough.
I know how that feels. That's what happened to me in Bloodstain. So I killed all the other bosses fast, except for the one that you watched.
David is to me as I am to you, apparently.
Yeah. That's not true. Actually, 2 bosses bodied me, but everybody was like, "God, these bosses beat me up as well." So, they were just 2 of the harder bosses.
I've only struggled with the one. The game is really cool. If you guys haven't played it, the best way to describe it is a 2D pixel Dark Souls. It's really, really cool. So
it's a Metroidvania looking thing, right?
Yeah, it's a Metroidvania, but it's Dark Souls style, where if you die, you have to go get your body, and it's very hard. Like they make it hard on purpose. And
cool.
Yeah, it's a dope game. You guys should play
it.
Better yet, watch me stream it.
I actually have played Dark Souls before. So I played Demon Souls, the original Demon Souls. I actually beat every boss in that game, shockingly enough, although that game...
Continue.
Oh, okay. Since David put his hands on his head, I'll go in that direction then. So Demon Souls is one of the games that actually, taught me to realize how flawed 3D action gaming is. I did play Dark Souls on stream at one point with Joe watching me, and I got to the Bell Demons and I couldn't beat them, and then Joe was hungry, so we went and ate, and I've never actually gone on from there. So I have tried Dark Souls.
You got where Majin Obama took 6 hours to beat one boss.
Dude, that Majin Obama clip, just like as soon as I heard him scream and like shout, dude, it was the exact thing as Tom's scream from Tom and Jerry. And I tweeted that out, and someone actually put out a clip of a YouTube clip of all of Tom's screams. And you listen to it, and it's like exactly the same. It's like exactly the same. It was like, as soon as I heard it, I was like, he sounds just like Tom. It's like the weirdest thing, dude. It was so funny.
All right.
Yeah.
I watched the first 3 episodes, which are all that are out of season 2 of The Boys. The only reason that I am watching this show is that I was paid by Amazon to watch season 1 so that I could commentate the Boys Mortal Kombat event that I commentated.
Yep.
And I really ended up liking season 1. And then now I'm watching season 2, and they're not paying me to do it. I just like it now. This is the first TV show that I've watched in a billion years. So, I mean, I think actually the last television show that I sat down and watched regularly, like each week it came out, was 24. And that was probably in 2003. A long time ago. And now, the way that they're doing this is that 3 episodes came out when the season launched, and then it's going to be released each Friday. So, we'll watch it on Friday.
Dude,
weird. I'm watching a show.
Is that changing your mind then? That some of these shows are amazing?
No, I could not imagine myself doing this more regularly than I'm doing it. I think that'd be awful. But this is fun to do, like 1 hour per week. Yeah, I can handle that. I can turn my brain off that long. Not easily, but I can do it. Sure. But
I really thought you were gonna say the last show you watched was Frasier.
You think I'm a Frasier watcher?
Yeah, you're definitely a Frasier watcher.
Brock.
You read about World War One, you nerd. Of course you watch.
I know.
Frasier.
I was about to. I mean, like, I feel
when
like
I watch Frasier, I'm not like identifying. You think I'm identifying with Frasier and his brother?
I don't know, man. You just seem like the type of nerd that would watch Frasier.
Frasier was an amazing show, dude. It was so good.
However, I am married to somebody whose second favorite show or top 2 favorite shows is Frasier. So
there you go. Yeah, okay, so I wasn't that far off.
Frasier's good, dude. Frasier's an amazing show. It's a good show.
Yeah, Frasier's funny. Like when she watches it, sometimes she occasionally goes back and watches it, and if I'm in the room, like I'll be like, oh, that was funny. That's funny. That was a funny moment. Ha ha ha. Occasionally, but it's not like I don't need to watch.
David treats TV the way I treat 3D games, dude. I'll turn off my brain to, deal with this for an hour.
James, trust me. I've watched you play Outer Wilds for like 17 hours now. You need to turn on your brain, bro, not turn off, okay? I've been there.
No, the problem with it is that you don't realize how I like to play video games. That's why. You don't realize how I know what you were going to tell me, which is why when you're like, let me give you a hint to help you finish this game faster, I went and immediately did it without you telling me the hint. Right?
No, you still have no idea what I was going to tell you.
Oh, yeah? Oh, okay.
That's totally fine. The result ended up being fine.
Because the thing about it was, like, I like playing games in certain ways. And I just don't think it gels with the way that you want to play, that you're expecting me to play. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, I'm fine with how you've been playing it. I just need you to accept that the controls and you falling down holes is not the game's fault. It's your fault. That's all.
Oh, the controls aspect of it. Yeah.
The controls are absolutely fine. That's a James Chen problem.
No, I mean,
but we can talk about this on Generation Spacing or something.
The controls are fine because we've all accepted the flawed controls.
Oh my god. Oh, that's just not true.
It is 100% true, dude. It's 100%.
David, what did you say on my stream earlier today? About the flaws of 2D games?
Oh my god, can you believe, there he is playing this game Blasphemous, and in Blasphemous you can roll, and rolls are invincible, and I think it's just a real indictment of the idea of 2D gaming, that rolls have to be invincible, or else there's just no other way to get around certain things. And on top of that, if you jump up in the air, you can then wiggle around and move the other direction. Or you could sort of gel back and forth a little bit. You can't control your air motion in real life. That's not how the world works. What an absurd idea.
So everyone
just accepted that this is
everyone keeps saying that I want realism.
Okay, sure, you can change your jump arc, I guess.
I have never said I wanted realism. I have never said I wanted realism in any game. I wanted to see where you can actually try to get me, find any point where I said I wanted realism in games.
I don't think you said that. Here's my critique of 2D games.
Yeah. So in your argument, James, last time you streamed Outer Wilds, you missed a jump because you went to a cliff and you didn't jump soon enough. And you said, well, in real life, or in 2D games, I can see the ground.
Right.
I can see the ground. I know when the platform ends, I get the jump. However, I was playing Blasphemous, and I knew that I could jump down somewhere. However, I can't look down like I can in a 3D game.
Why?
And see that there's spikes at the end of my jump.
Right,
so I jumped
but here's the question.
To my death.
Why did you fall?
In 3D, I can look down.
Why did you fall? Because you chose to fall, whereas in Outer Wilds, I didn't choose to fall. That's the thing. It's the nature of the perspective that prevents you from seeing it properly. I did not make the conscious choice to fall. You made a conscious choice, and you have the accuracy and the precision to intentionally fall. I do not have that ability.
But why does everybody else have that ability in 3D games, but you don't?
No, they don't. A lot of people in the chat are even agreeing with me, and even Miyamoto has said that himself in an interview. He has talked about how platforming in 3D games is not precise, which is why he adds a bunch of little mechanics to help you get around that, because he has to. He's even talked about Miyamoto, the genius, the god of platforming video games that everybody loves. He actually has said that, right? So here's the thing, is a lot of people are willing to accept it because we haven't done better yet. That's why, and everybody's just willing to do what we've been doing for years as opposed to innovating. And that's a problem, again, of now going into the AAA titles versus indie, and there's nothing in between. We don't have the ability to experiment anymore, and that's
what I think this sounds like in my brain is scrubby Smash players saying, why do I have to do a quarter circle forward to reuse Fireball? Why isn't there a better way to do this yet? That's how it sounds to me, because you can definitely just run and jump off a platform in 3D games.
Yeah, but the thing about it is...
It has nothing to do with it being better or not. It's just you get good, that's it.
The thing about it is that there is a benefit to doing motions, right? There is a concept of it and a certain level of skill and tactic needed for that. Not having 3D spatial awareness of things is a completely different situation. It's not, you are losing information as opposed to having all the information that's there. And yeah, there is a skill depressing jump before you fall off a cliff, but you can't see your feet. In a third-person game, it's different. In a third-person game, it's different. It's absolutely different in a third-person game.
But you can look down and run forward. You can.
Yeah, but you have to look down and run, but now you're not looking at where you're jumping towards, and you can't glance down, right? It's literally, I move the camera down, move the camera up, and then it's not 2D games. You don't even have to do any of that shit. All the information is right there.
All right, I concede. We're gonna talk. We can go all night. I'm just gonna concede for now. We can argue about this another time. I'm not gonna make everybody sit there and watch us argue about 3D versus 2D.
And no, of course I don't fall off stuff in real life. Actually, I do fall off some stuff, but that's a different story. But again, just having information and accuracy is such a boon and a benefit that you are losing in a lot of other games, in 3D games. So, right, exactly. Grinning Oni knows exactly what I'm talking about, right? I'm actually making a distinct point, and the argument is literally, you just suck. And that's not that's not good enough. It's not a good enough thing. You know what I mean? I can do it. I can get good enough to do it, but why do I have to get myself accustomed to bad design? Why do I have to get used to something that is improperly created that we could probably do something better? That's it.
Yeah, totally. You should just be able to hit forward in a button to do special attacks, right?
No, not necessarily. I mean, if you want to do it that way, sure. You don't have to do it that way. You don't have to do it that way.
Right. Never mind. Never mind. Yeah, David has the right idea. Just peace out.
Oh, man.
Well, is that it? Do no more news? Is that all?
I think so.
All right.
I think
you guys are lucky I put on medium pants today. They're not. Well, there's 3 kinds of pants in this world: soft pants, hard pants, and medium pants. And
okay.
And during the pandemic, I've worn only soft pants almost every single day. I've only put on hard pants 5 times or less, probably.
What are hard pants? What are hard pants?
Hard pants are pants that are hard. They're like jeans. Jeans are hard. What do you mean? You grab them. Grab jeans. They are harder.
They're not hard.
I think they're hard pants.
Oh, sure, man.
Usually I'm wearing soft pants, which I would not feel comfortable standing up and showing in front of a crowd, but I have medium pants on today somewhere.
Are soft pants just like your boxers? Like, what is soft pants then?
You know, like soft pajamas, underwear.
Why would you feel comfortable? Dude, I wear that on like the tournament floor. I don't care.
That's true. You have done that.
That's like tournament gear. Whatever.
You got me. Anyway,
I have soft pants on right now.
Shoutouts to soft pants and not having to wear hard pants. One of the few benefits of the last several months.
Oh man! Wait, so what are like slacks? What are dress pants?
Hard pants, of course.
So
Why are
jeans
they hard? They're not hard at all. They're very.
They are hard. What are you talking about? If anything if it can maintain a crease, it's hard for sure.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Anything that is creasable.
I'm throwing this in the 3D games file. This is ridiculous.
Tubo is done, dude. This was the last episode. He's never coming back again because he's just like hard pants and 3D games and everything. He doesn't want to deal with this anymore.
My point makes sense.
All right, I'd say it makes more sense, yeah.
Let's get out of here.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on the show. Glad to be part of it. Thanks for all the love in the chat, guys, and on Twitter and everything. I'll respond to people after we get done. So.
All right.
Also, I had 2 people text me say that they thought that I was actually there. So.
Wow.
They're looking great. Yeah. I told them they're both stupid. Yeah. But 2 different people texted me like, "Are you actually there without a mask on?" I'm like, no.
Oh my god.
That's technology, dude. Come on.
Yeah, man.
You got to admit.
We're high tech here.
Leather pants are also hard pants.
It was really hard for me to set it up though for these guys. Oops, wrong song. It was really hard for me to set up, making both of them look like they were in the room because I have to like rotate them around the 3D plane, and you know the 3D plane is a lot harder to do than if it was just a 2D plane.
Thank you, 2 years late for the subscription, and thank you to Elzo
you know, it was one of those situations where the 3D plane was making it